Listen to my story.
It all begins here.
I know. This is a one-time gig.
Welcome back to another episode of Super Frank, a Super Frank podcast. Once again, Super Sanct is here.
Got Frankie.
And so this time, we are in Part Jill, I suppose.
Yeah, right, yeah.
I think I was going to call
Jill's
it.
episode,
Jill's
yep.
episode. I guess let's start where did we leave off exactly?
So then you finally get back to the hideaway.
Yes. And that's where I think we left off,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Right when you landed on the airship, quote unquote.
Right. Yep. And you're like, well,
maybe it's an airship.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Like,
I still wanted to look that up more so and have because it gives you like an aerial view.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like this is designed after one of the previous ones or something.
I got that feeling too. Didn't quite pick up. Yeah.
But I forgot to look back at some. So, right when we get there, the guy on the boat, I believe, is the one who says Otto is looking for you.
Mm-hmm.
And you go to talk to him.
So if you're like me, you're like, okay, new place, gotta explore everything.
Yeah.
I gotta go every inch.
Yeah.
Even though we've already figured out at this point, there's treasure boxes aren't much, but I'm still like, I gotta
the
go.
Chance that there is one.
Yeah, right.
The chance that there's one there. I gotta find it.
So I went and explored everywhere, but it's basically funny because you go and talk to Otto, and he basically has you go talk to a couple people.
Right.
So
you really just
explore it. So you can just go talk to Otto and then eventually explore.
So you go to him, and then he sends you off to Harpocrates, I believe is the next person to talk. Or is it Vivian first?
Yeah, Vivian first, who is new, right?
Yeah, new. Vivian Ninetails.
I feel like it could be one of those things
she is straight up,
if you took a little break, you'd come back and be like, was she there before?
Yeah, wait a minute.
She is not. I'm fairly confident. She's not there before.
I remember later conversations they bring up that she was not. It was in between the 5-year gap. She looked. Mm-hmm. We'll explain that way later in the story, but yeah. At this point, it's just in between this 5-year gap, somewhere along the line, she joined the party.
Right, so...
And she's very, a historian.
Yeah, I was kind of troubled with exactly historian? What you call her. I think they kind of say she's politics almost, basically, because she knows how... She's a current historian.
Yes.
What's the the term or whatever? Modern.
She's always telling you what's going on in the world right now.
Yes,
it's her main thing with the wars. What factions or kingdoms are attacking? What wars are going on? Battles or Basically, she recaps the story for you always.
Right. So that's basically what I had to. She's always good to just come. You can. So after you talk to her, you can talk to her again. And get a couple other things. So I have here it's always good to come talk to her to recap. You learn a couple things.
Then it opens up a new feature here.
Yep.
Where you talk to her, you're saying, talk to her again, and then it is a whole. You can look at the storyboard in the the connections, the relationship connections between every character you've met to this point, and it gives you a date at the bottom of when it happened, so you can go back.
Kind of chronological order.
Yeah, so you can kind of figure out how things went in the order.
So it's pretty cool because you get to see it's like a character web, so you get to see. Yeah, you can kind of quickly go over, see the relationships.
I don't think I recorded.
And you can
I'll have to get a snapshot of it.
Go through that. I just replaying that. There is a new feature. I don't know if you noticed it at all.
Oh, I don't.
It's called where was it? Inner Thoughts.
Oh, that's right. I saw this. Torgal's feelings, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you're getting?
So what it's called Inner Thoughts. You press the pad button, and when you go over somebody, it's supposed to just gives you. It's just a quick sentence, and it's supposed to be their inner thoughts of that person. So you go over Clive and press the pad button, and then you can mouse over other people. And, Jill or Torgal, and it will just say, a little line. And again, you can do that through each section. So, each time period, you can see at that time what Clive is thinking about this person.
Oh. That's how that works.
Not too much.
Just a neat little...
But just a couple other things. It's kind of stuff you'd figure out, reading their little description. They're, the active time lore, their bio, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But then again, it's just a little extra thing. But I will say,
neat.
so the thing is to remember, so like if you're on Clive and then let's say go to Jill, then you can go to Jill to do her inner thoughts and look at Clive. So it kind of goes, you have to do both ways.
I didn't know that that's how it worked, because I kept seeing things about people saying, like, how Torgal's thoughts on Sid. And they're like, oh, it's so sad. And it was just like, where's my best friend or something like that? And like,
yeah, see,
he just hasn't
then there gets to be
shown up,
so
like,
many, like you can't read them all, but it's a little fun to go do that. So little ones that I thought were interesting was you can go over to Ultima's character and see his inner thoughts. And only like 3 people pop up. It's pretty much just Joshua, Sid, and like Clive. But I wanted to write down real quick what it said, because it says Joshua basically just calls him an inconvenience, and then calls Sid a disobedient child. That's what like Ultima's inner thoughts are about them. So a little interesting. Can make a little mental note of that.
That's very interesting.
So like
I did not see that.
So like that new feature, and then like the other thing she has, so it's like the character web is like the situation map. Pretty much instead of characters, this is places, things, and events. Mm-hmm. So like you can go and look at, but both give you like a little summary throughout. You know, like each time like period, each little section gives you a little summary.
It's kind of like what the story is doing, but it shows you on the map what it's doing.
Yes.
Right? So like we're about to get to a part where they're talking about things that are going to happen, and then you can go back to talk to her, and it shows you on the map where it actually is going on. So it makes more sense to you, like, oh, they're moving from there to here, so then we can go this way or do this thing. Like, it's a pretty cool.
So like they keep talking about like a battle, and you're like, I don't know what they're talking about. Yeah. You can come here, look it up, and be like, oh, yep, like you're saying, they came from here. And it's cool because you can mouse over like everything, like every like place, every little icon. It'll be like a little figure. It'll be like a little arrow. You can mouse over that, click on it, and it brings you the active lore.
Yes.
Which again, it's the same in Hippocrates when you go and talk to him. So you don't have to like, oh, I have to go read Clive's bio, you know, with tomes or Hippocrates. No, it was like the same thing. When you talk to like Vivian. But yeah, great way if you're like us, where you're kind of like, I need more stuff filled in. Like Vivian is great. You can go talk to her, review like the character web, the kind of the situation map. Especially when big story dumps happen. Yeah.
And like you were just saying, like when you were originally playing it, you were busy and you only had like an hour or so to play, and so all of a sudden it's like a week later, and you just got through like a section, and then you're like, what's happening again? Yep. I don't remember what's happening.
Or little breaks, if you don't have a day or two you don't play, right? Yep.
That's mostly what she's there for, which is really, really nice, actually. I would do it every once in a while.
Exactly.
Just to double check, make sure there was something.
Because there are always a couple of things that
after all the side quests, and you're like, wait, what was going on in the main story?
Because there will be a little new nugget of information. Like I got an example of if you on like the story map, you like go over something and it talks about how Clive rebuilt the hideaway on a lake, as you clearly see. It talks, if you go over like Drake's head, I think it was that you just destroyed. If you like go over that, like that's like an event, like the destruction of that. It talks about how now Sid was declared an outlaw. So like you get a little information, kind of just like a little things. It's always, again, it's nice that like if you don't care and you're good, you can keep going. But if you want just any little bit more, you can
spend hours reading things on between her and then what we do next, and going to Hippocrates.
Yep.
Which you go talk to him right after. And I wrote not too much. I don't think he does anything really. He just kind of like recaps a little bit of what's happened
basically
in the last 5 years, but like doesn't really tell you anything more. It was basically just reiterating what we know.
Yeah. So you go talk to Vivian.
And then you meet the twins, which
did nothing, yeah. So you go talk to Vivian. She's basically like, go talk to Hippocrates. You go talk to him, and he's like, I'm checking into Ultima, but there is nothing.
Oh, that's right.
And he's kind of like, like, okay, keep at it. It's just kind of like, I got nothing.
It's like, I've read every book in the world, and I cannot find anything on Ultima.
Yeah, and it's like, crap.
But like a brief, I think he said like a brief mention and something or another, and he was like, but that is also like vague
hearsay, right? Like, it could be nothing. So then I have with him just a couple things that are good to kind of maybe recap or learn a little something new. Ultima's like lore, mythos, and just like the recent events, places, like I was saying, like the fall of Drake's Head, give you kind of little new stuff that might be worth checking out, reading real quick. Pretty much then...
My next note is just a small one. Then when you leave there, Tarja comes and talks to you a little bit. Looks a little different now. She grew her hair out.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I didn't even have that like in the notes. I did forget about that. Way different, which is funny.
Yeah. This is why I really like this version of her a lot more.
I do, yeah.
I like the longer hair. But anyways, the main point I was getting, and it's kind of small, but if you hadn't noticed yet, Clive's brand seems to be scarred out, and this is where Tarja apparently did some surgery to cut it out or something.
Basically.
They don't really say that. She said the scalpel did all the work.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she did a skin graft over it or cut it out or what.
Again, I think
or
if you
burn it off,
you can find it in the lore. It does, again, the Harpocrates somewhere in there. It basically does explain, there is like a procedure, and like you said, I don't know if
They've started to do it.
It sounds... Well, actually it is. Again, I don't know if it explains it here. But the mark is supposed to have poison in it. It's basically like a tattoo, but with poison in it. So if you try to remove it, the poison breaks out and kills you.
I did not know that.
I think that's totally all like in the lore. They don't really... They hint at it like a little bit. Oh,
that makes so much sense.
Totally.
As to why
again, I don't know if this
dangerous procedure.
Again, I don't know if this pops up in the lore now or way later. I don't think it's spoiling anything. But if you remember the leader of Sanbreque, I think his name's Sylvester, like the emperor of Sanbreque, Dion's father.
Sounds about right.
He's always twirling a flower.
Yes.
Apparently, that flower, the poison from that flower, is the mark of the bearer. Let us know in the comments if you happen to notice before Tarja mentions his scar gone. I'd be interested, see if anybody picked up on that like right away. Yeah. I didn't. I don't think I did until she mentions it, and you're like,
I think I did
okay.
Too.
Wait, so we were just doing. We just did getting into the capital and destroying the crystal. How hard that was just being a bearer.
Yes,
everybody just treats you like crap. You can't talk to anybody. So now Clive, with his mark gone, it's not only like a symbol of I'm not a slave anymore.
Yes.
It's also like he can literally talk to people. Mm-hmm. People don't immediately see him as a bearer, as a slave, as a piece of garbage.
Yeah.
So now he can help easier in a way, basically.
I don't think comes into too much play in this episode. The next episode, which we were talking about before starting recording, I think is when that actually
starts to shine a little bit more.
They don't realize he is for a while.
Also, he's had it for, I think we were when you were streaming, trying to figure this out, 13 to 18 years? I think it is 18 years.
Yeah, I think they say 18 years.
Because the first time jump after Phoenix Gate's 13. It's been 5 years, so he...
Yeah,
I say 13 to 18 because I guess we don't know how long he's had it removed now.
True.
Makes it sound a little recent. But again, he could have gotten it pretty cut away off. Again, like you were saying earlier, I don't know if it's like a skin graft, but I think it is like cutting underneath.
Not knowing the poison thing, that probably makes more sense. Where she said the scalpel did all the work. She probably has to dig in there and dig it out without hitting the poison. That makes sense.
Yes.
So it probably is very...
It might be a side quest where they actually explain that a bit later. Because there's a side quest down the road. Either way, that might get explained a little bit later.
But I think this is where...
Oh, actually, she says there's a letter from Gav.
That's what it is.
Mm-hmm. So then there's like a letter... Oh, yeah, I thought this was funny. It's like, letter from Gav in your room. And it's kind of like, you have a room now.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Yeah. So then you go...
Your room is... Yeah.
Your room and you're
used to have...
Yeah. It's like Sid's solar now. Yeah, Sid's chambers, right? So I was like, that's kind of funny. You have a room now. Yep.
One thing we talked about before... I don't think there's 2 beds in there, but it sure seems like Jill
a big enough bed
there.
For 2.
Yeah. They don't really point this out a lot.
I remember kind of thinking that too at one point.
We had the conversation with Chad, and we were like,
"It's been 5 years."
You think they've done it? And for 5 years,
they seem close.
Like in moments they do, but then moments it gets still awkward.
Clive's a little like, whatever.
Still, yeah. You're like,
I'm like, come on.
But it's been 5 years, right?
Yeah. You're sleeping in the same bed. Come on.
Must be some awkward. But anyways, yeah, you got your.
What is it? Yeah, he just says the note
says
just says Dalmec is on the move, basically to Sambrek. So they explain this a little bit more, like going forward. He now here
is left to himself at the capital. Clive's chance to attack. That was my notes. So.
Basically, yes.
Basically, yeah. Everybody moved. Dhalmekia has moved on the Dominion
because Sambrek just took it over.
Yes.
Right.
They took it over 5 years ago. But
yeah.
Like now the Dominion's finally like attacking them, which left the capital wide open.
Yes.
For a counter.
So basically, so you read the note from Gav, and then Clive and Jill are talking, and I have a little note in here. Clive basically mentions he has not or cannot summon it free since then, since 5 years ago.
Yeah. He's like, this would be so much easier if I could just
use my power. And then he kind of mentions like the burden's falling to you. To Jill, this whole time. And
Jill makes a comment of, like, that's your body knowing that it takes a huge toll on it.
Yes.
But I made a note of it, like, we have yet to see that it actually is taking a toll on Clive's body.
Yep.
It shows Jill having her hand turning to stone. It showed Sid having his hand turning to stone. Mm-hmm. We have yet to see any part of Clive.
Correct. And he makes a comment too. He's like, it's as if something's holding me back. So that's you can make a little note of that. A little interesting.
Little small things, but very interesting.
Because like you just said, because Jill's like, he's like the burden falls to you, like literally meaning, every time you have to use your powers, it's hurting you. Mm-hmm. And she's like, it's not a burden, because of the cause, like what we're fighting for.
Try not to forget. We're only here because Joshua gave us a second chance. It would be a pity to waste such a precious gift.
He did. He was there. It wasn't an illusion. I heard him call out to Ultima.
So finally they acknowledge
yes, they acknowledge.
Which we talked
Clive
about last time,
knows.
And it was like, yes.
Clive knows Joshua's alive. He knows he didn't kill his brother.
Yeah, so he knows it. But he still doesn't, explain how they got out. They're just, basically he knows that Joshua was there, and somehow Joshua got them out of there.
Yes.
Is what they basically
It's kind of what you assume. What you piece together is,
The way he said it, though, it made it seem like they did die. Mm-hmm. Like, Ultima did kill him with that flame, and then Joshua, when he came in, he actually, brought them back to life.
That could be
the way he says it to me. I took it that way the first time.
Phoenix down.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I took it. And he gave us another chance, as in,
because the fire hits you. You are totally engulfed by it.
Yeah.
And Joshua says something like, if I got here a second earlier. So I don't know, you could literally be...
I wonder if he did die, or that was just enough that he healed you guys, maybe.
Right.
You would have died, or saved you. Anyways.
I do have here that Clive does say Ultima's name. He's like, I heard Joshua call out to that thing, Ultima. So it's like, okay, that's kind of how Clive knows.
Yeah, why he asked Hippocrates. Yeah, mm-hmm. all he had was a name.
Yeah, he heard Joshua kind of opens up. He grabbed the feather.
So
he kind of mentions he's like, and if Joshua's alive, I know he's out there looking for that thing. So I feel like that's kind of why, if you're wondering, why are we still focused on the bearers and the crystals? And it's because he knows that his brother is out there looking into this thing for sure.
Which is where I was saying in the last one, I had my whole rant on the 5-year jump, and I was like, I don't. Mm-hmm. There was they sort of explain things, and this is part of where I started to be like, okay, all right, well, it doesn't, like we always say, they don't flat out hit you in the head with it and tell you and spell it out for you. Mm-hmm. But it's okay, you can kind of gather and piece together these things. This is probably what happened. Joshua probably saved them, got them out of there before it collapsed.
Right.
Somehow using his powers. Yeah, Clive assumed because Joshua came in to fight Ultima, knew who he was, and he was basically it looked like he had contained him.
Yeah.
Too.
Mm-hmm.
So, for all they know, that Ultima was, Joshua was taking care of him.
Yeah.
So, they don't need to pursue him, right? But they don't flat out say that to you.
That's actually a good point, too. He says he's out there looking for that thing, and you're kind of he sealed him away.
Right.
But I guess Clive doesn't... didn't really see that.
He might have seen it.
So he's kind of
again.
Clive makes just a point. Clive might not know that Ultima's sealed away.
Yeah, but it seemed like Clive was like, "I'm not too concerned." Joshua seems
like that's what he's doing.
So he's done that. We'll take care of the bear. We got to rebuild and take care of the bears. And so we've spent the last 5 years. This also in the next scene now, where I was talking about.
I have it shows Joshua real quick. Do you have that?
No.
So it really quick shows Joshua, and he's in the Northern Territories.
Oh,
so
I do. Yes.
That actually confirms that Joshua is alive as well. Both of you, yeah, like we're kind of.
That's right. Where he's standing and he's looking out, and he's just like, the blight is spreading, and I haven't been able to stop it or find anything else.
So there's a couple things too. He says we've been chasing shadows. So now you know for 5 years. Yeah, I don't know. He hasn't come up with anything again.
Yeah. Again, it's
so you're a little bit like what is he doing?
Nobody seems to know or be any record
of
Ultima,
what this thing is,
of what his purpose is, what he's doing, his powers, or anything. Somehow, just a little bit that he's out there. So
so it just kind of mentions he's in the Northern Territories, but it's like kind of big. Like he's alive. That means they both got out of there. Like we're saying, he kind of pieced together. Joshua probably got them and everybody.
Oh, I was jumping way ahead when I was about to say. I was jumping all the way to the next thing.
Oh, but so then it comes
later in this episode. We will get to the other part of why we haven't done anything in 5 years.
Yes, yeah,
we will get to that part.
Yeah, as it does, like you still feel a little jumbled from it, the 5 year gap, but it does slowly piece together some things, and like we're talking about, like with Vivian. It does explain her story. I kind of forget if it's a little bit more of a side quest or not. I think
it might be like way later, but
but either way, it does eventually with a lot of things. Also, too, with a lot of people. Oh, going on a little bit of a side tangent here. I thought it was a little funny how it seemed like everybody died from the hideaway, right?
Yeah.
Except all, like, the main...
That's true.
Main side people, like, air quotes here.
Yeah.
Like
Karen is still there, and...
Karen, Otto, Harpocrates, like...
What's the blacksmith? I can never remember his
Blackthorn.
Blackthorn.
So it's like all the people...
I was call him, like, Blackbeard or something.
I think I call him Blackbeard, yeah.
Like that. I forget every time.
So it's kind of funny that, like, all the people you, like, talk to, like, the shopkeeper and stuff, like, they all survived.
Yeah.
But if you go
a lot more people, by the way, too.
Yep, I had that in my notes too.
It's bigger. Airship is bigger than the hideaway.
Yeah, it seems to be more people, and so you kind of just again piece together. I guess that's what he's been doing for 5 years. Has just been gathering more people and
more people have actually joined him.
Expanding like this area. But if you go and talk to now all these new people, and especially the kind of more main side people, they all they all give you a little bit of information about either the past 5 years. Or like the Titans attack, like night.
That's right. Which I like,
just
but
a little bit of
time,
information.
The way they talk about it was like it had just happened.
Yes.
And it was also like, well, then why are we bringing it up right now too?
Like again, like it's been 5 years.
5 years, so why are we like just going around asking about it? But it is a small way of them like, yeah, that was crazy and it still hurts and missed everybody, but we're through it. It's pretty much what a lot of it is, and
nothing like, oh my god, I explained everything. But again, it's just
a little bit.
They
more.
do, like again, just really getting away the fact like they do fill in a good amount of things, just a little slowly.
Yes.
After the scene with Joshua, comes back to Clive and Jill talking, I believe, and I just have like, if you start to have like an idea now, it feels like you haven't destroyed another Mother Crystal. Which I just wanted to write that down because I think that was a little interesting, because before you go from, hey, we are going to help bearers and dominance and like the world, like that cause.
Yeah.
And Sid's then all of a sudden is like, oh, we're going to destroy the crystals, right? We got to do that first. And then you're like, oh, okay, like we'll go do that. And then now all of a sudden it seems like you jumped back and you've just been helping bearers.
Yes.
And that cause.
Yeah, they haven't said anything. But again, it still seems like they haven't done anything. But we will get to that shortly.
Exact, and again, it gets to it. Yep, you go talk to Otto, right?
Yeah, and this is where he says that. Is she missing this time? All I put is that she needs help.
Martha's missing.
I think is how he says it. I think there was like a bar fight. They said, and then like Martha was taken.
So I
And
thought,
it was
yeah,
like-
a couple quick things I had just had here was, oh, he had a great line. He says, "The Empire is tightening their grip on the Duchy's balls." So I had to write that one down because I heard balls and I was like, what? Oh, okay, write that down quick.
The Duchess balls.
Basically, what he's meaning at is like you're saying there was a bar fight at Martha's and now she's missing. And Clive says, "Do you think that's staged?" And he's like, "Yes. Like the Empire, Sambrek, has been,
Figuring out what she's doing.
Is tightening its grip on bearers, and Martha's helping bearers.
Yes.
And if you remember, Eastpool is in Rosaria, which is controlled by Sambrek. They slaughtered the entire place.
Yes.
So now he's kind of hinting at if they found out that Martha's helping bearers,
Yeah, this is going to be bad.
and now we know in these past 5 years, things for bearers have only been worse. They're mentioning it's been harder for Martha. It's been worse. If the Empire finds out what she's doing, it could lead to us.
Yeah, and
So
it seems
that's the big
what I'm
thing,
saying.
I feel
It seems like okay, they have kept a pretty close relationship with Martha
Yes.
this whole time.
Yep.
And if you don't remember Martha, she was a couple episodes back, I believe, right?
Yes, right before,
Right before
Phoenix
you
Gate.
go over the bridge,
Mm-hmm.
right? She was one. She's in charge of a little small town and has an inn.
Just another one of
Just
those.
to
I
bring
forget
it
how
back
they.
to because she's one of those that I almost forgot about.
Yeah, I
It
think I
was
did
like
have Martha.
a small thing, and then I was like, "Who's Martha again?" And you see it, and you're like, "Oh, that's right,
And
this
she-
place." Yeah.
She like
She's one
reoccurs
of the,
now
like,
a couple more
first-
times.
First bigger world map kind of areas that you went to.
Actually, yeah,
right?
that's right. Yeah,
So it was kind of like
I forget. Sid
yeah.
calls him something. His confidence, his confidants, if you will.
Yeah.
So there's a couple characters that how he explains are, sympathetic to the cause. So yeah, so that's. I feel like you might be like, oh, this is just, come on, explain some other things here. Why are we going helping out?
Yeah, I
Martha?
remember I was like, oh, really?
But at the same time, I feel like playing it through this time now, I'm like, okay, they tied that in to be pretty relevant.
yes.
Like, that makes sense.
Well, and then what you find out when you go there also ties into the very next thing, which ties into the next part. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
it kind of
yep.
flows into it. We learn some more things about these. So immediately, then you're like, well, I think there's some side quests you can do.
I do have a
I
note.
didn't put
I
any
have,
notes on.
so like you're pretty much go check on Martha. So
Right.
now's a good time. If you didn't before, I recommend just kind of talking to everybody, right?
Yeah.
Going around, catching up with Vivian and her Hippocrates,
Mm-hmm.
going and chatting like with them, if you haven't already. And there's one side quest called Cock and Ball.
No,
Cock and Ball.
I did not remember this.
I think I remember like Chad sharing it or something
Oh, really?
like that, like to us one time. And I remember being like, I don't remember that
am
quest.
Not remembering that right now.
And so yeah, it's Caulk, Caulk, like I don't whatever you describe what it is, right? Like, like, but it literally says, yeah, that is the name of the quest. Shout out the 16's team here because that's hilarious.
Cock and balls.
Real quick and easy quest. It's with the guy the boat guy.
We're
He's-
not rubbing down what's his face like in 14.
No, yeah, whoever done those.
Tony's favorite side quest.
What's his name? Yeah, from that
Oh,
guy.
I
Yeah,
just jerking this guy.
yeah, it feels like it's just real quick. You're
Yeah.
getting something so the boat stays afloat. Real quick, easy. You can go do that.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Because he's like, I have holes in the boat. How are we gonna get back and forth? And then he was like, fine. We'll.
Which is it's a little relevant because you learn the lake you're on you're still in the Deadlands, like you're still in the
Yeah.
Blight. So the water is basically poisonous.
Yeah.
So
Which another one of those things they don't really hit you over the head with. But I
again-
think in the lore it explains a little bit more. Yeah, the water is like deadly, and it's like eating away at his boat.
basically, right?
His,
Yeah.
his boat made
So
of
it's-
wood. It kind of eats away at it.
So it kind of makes sense.
It's
You
another
go,
thing why like the airship in the middle of the water in this lake is actually
Is a relevant thing.
really good defensive
Yes.
thing because it's like hard to get to.
yeah, I think again in the lore, or
It seems
they
like
kind of
ships are
hint,
very.
they kind of hint at it. I think there's a mention somewhere like you can see all around. That's the whole point, is to see
but
everybody
even just
incoming.
like he's pointing. There's another point of like him with his wooden boat.
Can't-
It's getting like holes. Like he needs
Yeah.
certain things to resist this.
Yes,
stuff. It's
yep.
almost like an acidic type thing that's going to eat away at the boat.
Exactly.
So-
Yeah. I just I do
Forgot
have
about that
you get
one,
an
yeah.
accessory from it. I think it was only like attack plus 12, and I think
Oh, yeah.
at this point you have a couple cooldown accessories that are probably just better
Yeah.
better to use. You get...
I think at this point you could have found the one
soon,
that I have never taken off since I found it. The
Dodge one? I think so.
I have never
by this
taken
point,
that
yeah.
off.
That one's super
when
good.
I got that, where you extends the duration
of dodge
of your dodging, and then you do bonus damage afterwards.
Oh, that's right. I
which
forgot.
is almost like...
I took it off because it was like too good.
It's like you dodge, and then you get like
limit
one
break
combo.
for a combo.
Yeah, with limit break. Like damage, basically.
Yeah,
so,
it's like
but
a little.
Anyways.
But you get like 10 quest points.
Oh, that's right.
Which you learn later is called Renown. Renown. So that gets explained a little bit later.
Yeah.
Just another note, if you talk to him again, I thought this was funny. He makes a mention, he's like, basically says, why don't I ever see you on the boat, Clive? And at first you're like, what? And I think it's a little, like,
of a joke.
Fourth wall break of being like, you can fast travel. Why don't I ever see you on the boat?
I didn't catch that, but that's probably what it was.
I thought,
right?
that's like what I took it as, so I thought that was a little funny.
Yeah.
So there's another little thing why it's worth to talk to some people sometimes, right?
Yeah, they never really explain fast travel story-wise.
They have the waypoints that you teleport to. Clive says something about them. I think it's supposed to be more of like a landmark. I don't think you teleport to there, but it's supposed to be like a landmark. He explains it. It was like real quick, yeah.
So I would say that.
Little side note, real quick too. Another thing, if you go, if you remember from the previous hideaway, a Moogle, Moogle the Nectar, the Moogle. Moogle the Nectar.
Moogle the Nectar.
Moogle Nectar
that
is
sounds
tasty.
really weird.
Yes.
You made Moogle sound like a verb there.
Nectar the
what
Moogle.
What is Moogling?
Yeah. Don't Google it, kids. Don't do it. It's rated
Moogle
R.
the Nectar.
If you talk to him, nothing happens yet, but you can take a little note of that. Eventually make your way to fast travel to Martha's.
Martha's, yep. And all you really do is you walk in to her inn, or actually no, you just teleport there and immediately, I think, then a chick comes running out from the inn and was like, they're like out of control, you gotta help them or whatever. They took her. I think is what she
basically,
says, right?
you get there and you basically learn she's not there.
Yeah.
Somebody
has taken her. And the Curse Breakers, I believe.
Yeah, because
they are called, which I think this is the
guys
first time they really mentioned. Were they in their previous?
Yeah, they're in there previously, and I think they throw the Curse Breaker name around a little bit, but this is where I feel like you really start to know them.
It's basically
they're your people from like the hideaway.
It's basically Cloud's like soldiers, if you will.
Yeah, Clive's.
They say Cloud.
Yeah. With the DLC, to be fair, with the new DLC, if you get it, you can have the Buster Sword,
which we talked about.
Yeah,
in the last episode or 2 episodes ago.
It was like, how cool would it be the skin?
Cool. Yeah,
so it was like, dude, that's so awesome.
If he had it, and then they do it in the DLC, and we're like, oh my god.
Yeah, right. Like,
I've yet to play the DLC.
Yes.
Anyhow, so the Curse Breakers, though, they're Clive's like
soldiers,
henchmen, soldiers, or whatever. But they all they all have had the surgery.
They have all had their curse broken.
Yeah.
They've all had the bearer mark,
I see
the
what
curse.
you did there.
I get it. They've all had that, yes.
Yes.
Removed, so a couple of things with that. That's like how they basically get their name. Also, it's so they can go out and help.
Yeah.
We kind of explained with Clive. And, yeah, their job is what Clive's, thing is basically to go help other bearers and, stuff like that. So you get to see a lot more of them.
So this is where the Black Shields get mentioned. I think they say the Black Shields heard about Martha and the abbot were helping bearers, and they attacked and they took Martha and the abbot, which I don't remember if we even talked about him before.
He was basically, if you remember Martha,
or is he the guy was helping. That we went to, and
she was helping dying bearers. Yep,
that was him.
Yes.
Okay.
So he's just a guy who was helping the dying bearers, which is what Martha was doing.
We saw that scene. We talked about it. Mm-hmm. Yes. So that was the abbot.
Another thing, so somebody mentions a culling is coming. So basically, if you know what that is, you kind of put the context of like a cleansing. Yes. Basically a mass murder.
Basically Eastpool.
Yes.
That's what they're saying. They're like, remember what happened in Eastpool 5 years ago? Well, that's about to happen again.
Yeah.
So we go running off. They're like, they went that way towards where the abbot
to the abbot,
go
that
get
church, the dying bears. So you're like, oh crap.
Yeah.
So on your way there, you run into Martha, and she's kind of like beaten up.
What happened? The damn Black Shields, that's what happened.
The Black Shields?
The bastards caught wind. The abbot and I were helping bearers. They were gonna hang us both. When the sick rose from their beds, poor souls turned on the Imperials. Distracted them long enough for me to get away.
Clive is like, WTF, basically. He's like, Black Shields? And I just had to, make a comment on it, because the way he said it was kind of like, Black Shields? And I was like, not in a racist way.
Black Shields? Is this some sort of twisted joke?
Alright?
Like what I did in the last, 2 episodes ago. When I was like, it's a black Clive. I mean, not like that black of a Clive. I mean, Shadow. I'll show you. He basically, he does the same thing, right? So Black Shields. Wait a minute. No, their armor's black. All right.
Yes. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but no, you know what I get. You know what I mean.
God damn it. You know what we mean.
So Clive's already kind of pissed.
That's
already.
Right. And he gets a little bit upset because they were never like that before, and he was part of the Shields.
Exactly.
Shields
yes, Rosaria. If you remember. Yeah.
So this is they've taken on a different version, and they've almost turned the knights or the Shields of Rosaria into Black Knights or Dark Knights.
Yep, Dark Knights. Yeah, and just
ruining
the name, right?
Yeah,
basically.
And they're going around killing, and he's like, they're supposed to be protecting. They're not.
Yes. Yeah.
Which again, he brings up later, but you can kind of tell that's immediately hits him.
So then you make it to the church, the abbey. Everybody's dead. Yeah. Not too surprising, if you're catching on to 16's theme here.
Yeah. Everybody dies.
Everybody's dead.
Yes.
Again, pretty just a little gruesome. You got people just dust and just bleeding out. Black Shields show up, and then like we were just talking about, they say their motto basically, which I don't know.
This was where I was at first I thought it was overreacting.
Yeah.
With Clive's voice acting. But then playing it through the second time was no, that's perfect. Because I didn't catch how much, we were just talking about, how much it affected him with the Shields part.
Yes.
When he says a line.
Dare you speak those words? Have you no honor?
Oh. And so they say their motto.
He says it is
I'm a little interesting because if you go way back in the beginning, the Shields, when Clive was younger, I think they say something, their little motto, to bring in the dawn. I forgot to double
check, but I was pretty sure in the way Clive reacts that it's the same.
I think it's basically something about
to dwell in darkness that we may purge the night and welcome lasting dawn. On these our swords we swear.
Bringing in the new dawn, and then so they twist the motto, something about hiding in the dark to bring the dawn. Clive's just immediate response is pissed off.
Yes.
Have you no honor?
Yeah. And he's like, how dare you?
Yep. So then it's one of the fights that it's just it's super fun to just kick their ass.
Yes.
And you're these guys have it coming, dude. And so you're just mashing the buttons, dude, right? Just wreck them. Because so they say basically you're going to lay the remains now of the bearers to rest. So
that's right.
So then on your way out,
I didn't make a note of that. But on your way to do that.
Oh, and Jill also makes a comment.
You take the ashes of the abbot and you're gonna pour them out in the river.
Yep.
And on your way to there.
Yep. Right before that, Jill makes a comment though, which I feel like this sums up what happened pretty well. She goes,
"No, they didn't. But it was their choice. They knew the fate that awaited them and chose to meet it on their terms, fighting for those who fought for them."
That's one of the big themes now of 16.
Yes.
Is people should live and die on their own terms.
And that was the main part that we ended last episode on.
Yes.
Clive and Jill on the boat on the way to the hideaway, to the airship, and saying that. And they were like, that was Sid's goal. Again, it didn't matter what the choice was, that they had a choice.
It's that they had.
And this was Jill being the realization that they took their own life. They were in control of their own life.
Yes, so even though they died, it was their choice.
Their choice to do so.
Yes. So
they didn't die because these Black Knights came in and decided to kill them. It was their choice to step in and
defend Martha, who is
and
showing them like kindness, right?
Yes.
So it's like
so it was like taking control of your own life and your own fate.
Yeah.
And the whole kind of theme of what this game is turning out to be.
Yes.
And so this was a first like show of that. What Clive and Jill have been working towards for 5 years is starting to come to fruition, and other people are starting to take action with it.
And I think it's also to note that if you remember, you just helped out bears in Dalmekia after you fight the kitty.
Yeah, and they were upset.
They were upset. They're like, leave us alone. Now we have bears standing up and fighting back.
Yes.
Albeit though they all, were on the verge of death and now dying.
Yeah.
But again, I feel like this could be a part where you're kind of like, what am I doing? This is dumb. Whatever. Let's get on to something.
Right. This
better.
has nothing to do with Ultima. Why am I not? Which is my kind of original thought.
I agree. Originally,
but then, you
now playing it,
dive
like, this
deeper
is very
into it, and this is
important.
very beneath the surface, kind of a little bit of like the underlying thing.
Yeah.
And the underlying themes within the entire story of it, outside of just here's now Ultima and the Mother Crystals, and we're trying to save the planet.
Yep.
This is also a whole underlying thing.
Still going on, yep.
And it's a very small thing, and probably went over a lot of people's heads, because I know it went over mine like first.
And again, you might pick up more on a lot of these things.
Some people probably didn't appreciate how much that meant.
Yeah.
In a small little thing, like you said with Jill, and I almost just glossed over it.
Yeah, right,
and how much that actually has impacts her character as well moving forward. I think we'll see that, because she was so down with the last one, with how could they not appreciate and see what we're doing.
Oh, that's right.
Right?
Yes.
Like she was so upset about what they said in Dominion, and now it's like, but these guys see it.
Yes.
What we have been doing is actually working.
You're right. Kind of like a little bit of hope.
People, yes, some little hope to it.
So on your way to lay the remaining
so what I was going to jump to was that you run into a very familiar Final Fantasy monster.
Yes.
The Ahriman, I always call it.
This might be something we have no idea if we're pronouncing it right or not. Yes, let us know in the comments how you pronounce it. Ahriman? Ahriman?
Let us know in the text.
Yes. Send me a voice text.
Send me a voice text.
You can phonetically maybe.
Yeah, right. Ahriman.
Ahriman.
Anyways, the big eyeball with wings.
Yep.
Almost stolen from.
Did you have? So I don't know if you catch it. Clive, right as the fight starts, says he's talking to Torgal, and he goes, "Do you think it spotted us?"
No.
And then Torgal barks, and then he goes, "What am I saying? It's a floating eyeball." And it's like it's actually funny.
I did not even hear.
Yeah, it's like you might. I think it might be one of those things. If you start like attacking right away, you might miss it. It might gloss over. But it's like,
dude, that's great.
If you let the dialogue play out for a second, Clive makes like a funny,
that's funny.
Which is almost weird. Again, the tone, like a bunch of people just like died, and it's kind of depressing, and then he kind of is like, "Oh, do you think it spot us?"
Fit in story.
Oh, it's a floating eyeball.
At first I thought it was, I accidentally found this guy, but the second time through I was like, wait, that's where I have to go. I don't think you can avoid him.
Correct. It introduces the marks now.
Yes.
The hunts.
The notorious marks is what I
basically explains. Little tougher guys you'll come across. You can get some items and crafts.
Plenty of Final Fantasy so far. But anyways, you've got a board, which now we'll talk about a little bit. I might as well explain it now. Moogle.
The Moogle now.
The
Nectar.
Moogle the Nectar.
Right, yeah.
I'm gonna say that.
So now at the...
Moogle the Nectar.
So back at the hideaway now when you talk to him.
Yes.
You have some...
A board shows up, and there's a handful of different marks.
Yep.
They don't tell you exactly where. It's like, he's in this port. He's in Sanbreque.
Yep.
And then it's like, spotted somewhere. In this area.
Breaks down the area, so you have an idea.
Kind of an idea.
Most are pretty easy to find. I do have that you don't have to accept the hunt. Like when they are... when you unlock more hunts, which is just through story progression, they're there. They're in their spots. So if you come across them, you don't have to go to the hunt board, accept one hunt, go hunt it, come back. No, you could... Pretty easy to do multiple at a time.
Yes.
I just had with his quick fight, the eyeball can be a little tough because he does Doom.
First time I died.
Yeah.
First time
I think I might have too.
I thought I was going to be able to kill him, and I stood inside the ring, and I thought that it would just do some damage.
Yes.
No.
Yep.
No, it's an instant death.
Yes. So watch out for the circle thing. You got to get out of the circle.
Yes.
His moves can be like a little tricky, but once you get like the hang of them, it's all right. It's not really supposed to be too difficult,
really
but it's. I think this might be your first like one-hit kill mechanic in the game.
I think so, and yeah, it threw me through a loop. It was just a point too where I was like, "Oh, this game's a little bit easy," and then I was like, "And I died."
Oh, I did just die.
Oh shit!
Like we were just saying, like, "Oh, it's so satisfying to kick these guys' butts," and you're kind of saying, "Yeah, it's pretty," and then outside it's like,
I was just starting to think,
through a little bit of a curve there. Yeah. Right, you go lay them to rest. Nothing too crazy there.
Yeah, you pour the ashes into the river, and then
back at Martha's, I have now. She kind of explains that she has actually heard rumors.
It started moons ago, of black-clad devils descending on villages in the dead of night to slit the throats of sleeping bearers. But I assumed it was all just nonsense concocted by the Empire. Nothing but a ghost story meant to make folk think twice about lending a hand to a fugitive bearer.
And in ordinary times you would have been right. What these Black Shields are doing is unthinkable. Which begs the question, why do it at all? My mother obviously has a hand in this. I cannot make sense of her actions.
Somehow
she's gotta be
what's her face, Annabella, like just hating bearers, knew she's probably behind Eastpool, so like he's like, I know she's got a hand in this, but like it's still messed up.
I don't think there's really anything. Do you have any other notes? Because I have
nothing there. I just have that somebody mentions now that Gav's returned.
Oh yes, that's my next note. Duh.
But before you leave Martha's Rest, there is a side quest.
Yes,
and this
is a keynote.
It has a plus sign.
Do not skip this one.
Don't skip ones with plus signs. Those are good ones to check out. Let alone this one. This one's a must.
Do this one immediately. You will
plus signs
regret it.
unlock things.
Yes.
So plus, like you gain something.
Have we had one to this point?
I don't think so. They've been pretty easy side quests. So I think this might be your first.
This might be the first one that gives you something.
Like you gain something, right?
Where you're like, what is that plus sign? But
so you go talk to somebody. Basically, you're gonna go track down some chocobos.
This is a fun side quest.
Yes.
Fun little side quest that I really liked. Yeah, you talk to the guy. You had dealt with this guy previous.
He's a previous quest.
Actually, I think like one of the first side quests on your way to this town.
To Martha, even I think you
originally
he was save him from
a bandit.
Saved him from chocobos. His cart was overturned.
His cart was overturned. Bandits were there because he had like Geishel greens in his.
Oh my gosh, that's right. How they pronounce it? Not Geishel. Yeah. Geishel. It's Gishel or Gissel.
But anyhow, it's the same guy, and he's saying that there has been a chocobo that's actually been like saving
people,
right? Or there's like a white chocobo.
I think we call it like Whiteheart. He calls it like Whiteheart. There's a white chocobo helping traders and just like fighting off bandits.
Mm-hmm.
So he's
but then some people were going to poach him.
Yeah. So he's like, you got to go save him.
Yeah.
And you're like,
save her.
Yeah. So like, okay, like why? You go track him down. I think along the way you find a feather, and Clive he's like, oh, that's kind of familiar, kind of like maybe like makes him think of his old. Yeah. Excuse me, his old chocobo.
He was like, that's a very white feather. Like you don't see that many white chocobos. Really, was like, in fact, the only one I ever knew. I think he does say that. Does he say? Right?
Yeah.
I think he was like, actually, the only one I ever knew that was Ambrosia,
which is his chocobo. Yeah. And so now you find the white chocobo. You fight off the bandits.
Yeah, there's bandits attacking the chocobo and 2 regular chocobos.
Yes.
Do they fight with you even?
I don't really think so.
Think they do. Anyway, super easy. Just like a couple bandits whoop their ass. Afterwards, though,
Clive notices it has a scar over an eye, and he's like, "Wait a minute."
I was just streaming this the other night.
And
we were both talking about it, and I was like, this is where we were like, wait, it's been like 18 years since he's seen this chocobo. So first off,
Yeah.
how long do chocobo live for?
I have that in my notes too. Yep.
How long do chocobo live for?
How long?
Man?
I mean,
like
I
I
don't know,
don't
like,
think
if
we
they're-
ever have a life expectancy.
No,
for,
like-
right?
must be pretty old.
Again, comment, text us or something.
Yeah, let us know there.
Find us on
But-
Twitter and let us know.
There's somewhere it states how old
How
chocobos
old
live.
do chocobos live for? Because this one apparently is at least 18 years. And then, like, just by the scar was like, oh, that's gotta be you. But I guess it's, like you said before, there's, like, he's never seen another white chocobo other than Ambrosia.
Right, and
I guess you wouldn't forget your pet from, even though
again, I
it's
think
been
that's
18 years.
kind of the thing, right? Yeah,
Forget
it's
your pet.
that
Basically
that
is
kind
his
of
pet.
bond. But yeah,
Yeah.
so then
But-
figures out it's Ambrosia, his old chocobo, and if you remember, saved
She
him.
remembers him.
Yes,
Yes,
I think
that's
it's
the other key
And
thing.
like Torgal, I think actually too.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
like Torgal, like, do you like recognize
Yeah.
him? And it's like, oh, like pieces.
Yeah.
But if you remember, she saved Clive at Phoenix Gate.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, like that's how she got the scar. Pulls him out of the way from like the falling rubble.
Yeah.
So the guy,
She was dead.
yeah, oh yeah, you would just assume, yeah, just the whole place blew up. So
yeah,
like
yeah.
somehow got out of there, survived, and it's just been helping people out. Found its own flock for 18 years. The guy quest you got from comes kind of, Clive explains to him, kind of who the chocobo is, and is like, oh, looks like it wants to go with you, and he actually gives it some gear, so she gets an eye patch and like the saddle. And
yeah.
I thought that was just funny. Like
Yeah,
the
the
chocobo
eye
gets an
patch.
eye patch, looks like badass.
Gav can't
though.
get an eye patch. Oh, I jumped ahead. I don't think we've seen Gav yet, but we do know his eye got cut.
Yes, right.
5 years ago, his eye got cut.
Yep.
Sorry, I jumped ahead. But Gav doesn't have an eye patch for some reason.
Yep.
Would be awesome. But yeah.
Um,
So you get a chocobo.
So you have a mount now. And what I thought was super cool is he talks about, well, Ambrosia Whiteheart has a flock now. Clive's even kind of like, look after your flock. But then it's kind of like, it doesn't really say it, but what you figure out now is Ambrosia, when you call your mount, comes with you, brings the pack with her. That's who your party members ride on.
Yeah.
I don't know if I really got that like my first
Again, I don't think I
playthrough.
did either. I was like, where do these other chocobos come from? Oh, yeah.
Her pack.
It's her pack, yeah.
So I
It's
thought
like
that
her,
was
I think her kids?
adopted. I guess that's
kids
what
or her kids?
adopted family, basically, right? Yeah.
Either way, like, that's so cool.
So I thought that was cool. And then now there's a couple things you can do now that you have a mount. So you can pretty much call it anywhere, like
Anywhere with
open world,
outside of a town.
outside of a town. There's a
Or
couple
dungeon,
places that'll have you
obviously.
jump off. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
So now when you're riding around, you can obviously sprint, but you can also you have like a brake. But
Yeah,
you can
you
also
drift.
You can also drift with it.
So
if you're
it's
kind of
awesome.
like,
you can drift with the chocobo. It's so cool.
so when you're sprinting and you hold like L2 and kind of are like turning, you kind of drift that way. And if you kind of like let go then of L2, you kind of dash forward.
It's straight up Mario Kart.
It is, yeah.
It is straight up Mario Kart with a chocobo. And
Yep.
It's awesome.
Then the
Sometimes I
other,
would catch myself just doing it just because it was fun.
then the other best thing is then you can with square you like do like a kick.
Yes, you can actually attack with it.
So then yes,
it does nothing. But
it doesn't
it's
do much
hilarious.
damage, but it like just not you just like jump forward and knock back the enemies.
Yeah, so it's not
a
like
lot
you
of fun.
can't get in fights. It's unlike other Final Fantasies.
Yeah.
You can get in a fight. If you just stand in front of the monsters,
Yes.
they will attack you and you'll get knocked off.
Yep.
But when you're running, you can do this leaping kick and knock them flying out of the way on their ass and then just run around.
Pretty easy to
So
not get in a
It's
fight.
pretty
Yep.
much like, unless you wanted to get in a fight with Chocobo, you can avoid the fights with Chocobo.
Yes, right.
So.
A lot of fun though. Great.
Yes.
No, it's just great to have a mount to go faster.
Because these areas are just big enough that running around is very time consuming.
Yes.
And this cuts it just enough to make it bearable.
Yes, and now I know both of us have gone and like actually replayed 7 Remake, and I'm like coming back now playing, kind of going through 16 again. Going from that game having a dash to this game not having a dash, you're
Then
kind of
you
like,
can
what
just
the hell?
immediately click, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
now it's
At least
nice
you
to
get a
kind of
chocobo, yeah.
you kind of have that like sprint now. So after now you finish up that side quest, gotten your mount, you head back to the hideaway because Gav is back.
Clive! Oh, I've missed that scowl.
So yeah, real quick. So now you just have like a quick little meeting between like everybody. You got Gav, Jill, Tarja, Otto.
Very important though.
I just have real quick is like you kind of see now this group's dynamic without Sid now, because before it was like Sid's the leader, and now you're starting to notice Clive's the leader. Yeah, he's stepped up.
He's not like the
little. Yep, he's not the little clueless kind of going along with everything.
The other part is I don't think it's that Clive was like, Sid's gone, I'm the leader. Mm-hmm. I think it was more of everybody has kind of appointed Clive.
Yes. As a leader. Again, this is another thing you kind of piece together, read through a couple lore things that it seems like most people were just crushed after it, and Clive was just like, we gotta keep going forward, yes. And everybody's kind of just like
continue Sid's way.
Yes, like you said, kind of slowly like has appointed to him just by like looking to him.
Yes.
So, you remember how quick the Empire was to occupy the Dominion after the fall of Drake's head? And how pissed off all the other nations were that they didn't think to do it first?
Half a century of independence gone at the whim of a madman. So much for their bloody treaty.
Clearly, the promise of unblighted land and the world's supply of crystals was too much for his radiance to resist. And now the Republic's finally decided to follow suit, using liberation as an excuse to declare war on Sambrek. Lined up right outside the Dominion's gates as we speak, looking to starve the Imperials into submission.
And now all eyes are on the Strait of Author.
We have Sambrek went and took over the Crystalline Dominion,
which was in the middle. So if you look at the map,
yes,
hopefully I'm bringing it up. It's basic. Dominion's kind of like in the middle now. It's supposed to be the neutral ground, if we remember. There was a treaty.
There's supposed to be an alliance treaty
that nobody would take that crystal. That was a crystal for everybody and nobody. It was no man's land.
It's like neutral, yeah.
Yes. Sambrek took that over 5 years ago when we went to destroy their crystal. And that's why we went to destroy their crystal.
And like could.
Because they left.
If we remember kind of talking about this last episode and everything, yeah. So Sambrek travels south, takes over the Crystalline Dominion, and you destroyed the crystal at Sambrek, I think.
So it sounds like in the last 5 years they've kind of been in like a somewhat war, but almost like a
Cold War, basically.
Yeah, they kind of stopped a little bit.
It's not like
everybody was just kind
war.
of like waiting to see what happened until this point. But now, this is the news that Gav has brought, that now the Republic, or Dhalmekia, has decided to make a move on the Dominion.
Correct.
And so they're moving. So
it's like they're moving the
If you look at the map, Sambrek is north.
Yep.
Kind of north and northeast of the Dominion, and Dhalmekia is directly south of Sambrek, and which is southeast-ish of the Dominion.
Yeah, it's a little like west too. Right, Dhalmekia is like a little west, right?
It kind of like has like a curved part of it, right? So it's kind of like in the middle of it. But like the capital, I'm kind of picturing. I might
be able to put
it somewhere here.
The weather,
here.
Yeah. So yeah.
But anyway, so pointing it there, I think where the capitals are. So basically, this is the main thing to get from it. The Republic left their capital open. Basically, the same thing was with Sambrek. So their immediate thought is like, we can make a move.
The Mother Crystal.
Mother Crystal of Dhalmekia? Right?
Yes.
Is their initial one what they say?
Yes. And then I have, now they for sure explain here, they have not destroyed another Mother Crystal.
I put Drake's Fang open.
Open, yeah.
They left Drake's Fang open.
Yes, so the Mother Crystal in Dhalmekia, they're saying like that's going to be left open. Now's our chance. So you for sure have like confirmation now. They've not destroyed a crystal in 5 years, which again we kind of just keep coming back to like it feels like a long time.
Yeah, but 5 year gap feels long. So in that 5 years though, there hasn't been a chance to.
Yes,
they've all been guarded really heavily, and there's like, how are we going to get in?
Makes sense because you just destroyed one. So everybody's been guarding theirs.
Yes. But this is where Clive comes in, though, and he goes, wait, that is what Kupka will expect us to do.
4 Mother Crystals remain in Storm and Ash. Drake's Breath near Ironhome. Drake's Fang in Dhalmekia. Drake's Spine in Waloed. And Drake's Tail here in the Crystalline Dominion.
with the bulk of the Republican army marching to Twinside, Drake's Fang will be left exposed.
That is exactly the move Kupka would anticipate. And if there is anything these past 5 years have taught us, is that he loves his traps. There is one place, however, where nobody will be expecting us to go.
Drake's breath.
And I think they kind of also explain too, like, so we have these two guys going to war, Delmec and Sambrek. The other people, like Waloed and like the Iron Kingdom, they're getting ready to fight basically like the winner. You know, they're all watching because whoever wins this, they're gonna beat and then, you know, take over
the scraps.
So he's like, let's go sneak over to the island, the Iron Kingdom, Drake's breath, because nobody's gonna be expecting that.
This part really, really reminded me of Game of Thrones. This was a Game of Thrones moment for me because they had the map out, they had their pieces, and they're all talking about it. And there's so many moments in Game of Thrones,
the war planning, right?
Where the king's with them and they're all doing this. And there's one specific point where, I guess I don't want to ruin Game of Thrones, but there's one specific point in Game of Thrones where something like that happens.
Yeah.
And one of the characters says that he's like, they're going to expect us here. So instead, let's go over here where nobody will expect us to be.
Yes.
And I was like, this is exactly where they've
Game of
taken
Thrones
from Game of Thrones. Yeah. I was like, where they've derived that. But so Drake's Breath, which is where Jill's home, where she had spent 13 years after she was captured.
If you remember, the Iron Kingdom, the Iron Blood, we've seen them a couple of times already.
They were a lot more in the beginning. We saw them.
Yeah, it's been a little bit, right?
Beginning scenes. They're the ones who have their own language. They have a very unique religion.
Yep. And go into that a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't think that they have explained it a little bit if you've read the lore. They have explained it a little bit.
And again, at the very beginning, too, a little bit.
So at this point, you probably don't really remember a whole lot of that.
Yes. So they are way out to the west, basically on some islands. So Gav is like,
there's a shitload of sea between us and it, and I've never been much of a swimmer.
I have an acquaintance in Port Isolde who may be able to help.
Who's that then?
My uncle, Byron Rossfield.
Dude, Gav is
fair enough point. How are we getting there?
Yeah,
right?
Basically was like, cool, great idea, Clive, but how?
So it's like, okay, now you need a ship. And Clive suggests his
typical
uncle,
Final Fantasy
typical
moment.
Final Fantasy
We
moment.
need a boat.
We need a boat. We need a ship. Is it going to be a little canoe? Or is it going to be like the fast ship, right? So he mentions his uncle Byron, Clive does. And so I thought it was like a little interesting because you're kind of I wanted to say at first, I was like, how have we not heard of like your relative?
Yeah.
And it's kind of makes sense. It doesn't.
He explains a little bit.
Yeah.
In this part of it too, and then shortly after when you meet him, which we probably can get into. But
yeah,
it doesn't kind of explain why Clive didn't bring it up with him, but also because it's funny. He goes Byron Rosfield, and then Gav is like Rosfield, the Byron, or he goes the Byron Rosfield, and then he's like, wait, Rosfield? Oh. Like he had never put it together. Like he knew who Byron Rosfield is because apparently he's a very wealthy,
a name, right?
Yeah, very wealthy and powerful individual in the world.
I think like a trader, kind of basically merchant. He's
a very rich trader, but he didn't lose his position or anything after
Sambrek taking over Rosaria.
Yeah. We'll talk.
So
about it
again, so
more,
they talk about it. They fill you in on him like a little bit.
You know him. He's the Elon Musk. Right, like everybody knows this guy. Yeah. Apparently, he's wealthy,
and he's like,
but for some reason, it went over Gav's head that he was a Rossfield related.
So he's kind of like he has ships. He's got access to ships and going all over the place. So
he's a tradesman, so he has ships that he trades to people all over.
So now you're like,
so he's like, he will have a ship, and he will loan me one.
Yep. So now you're like, now we have to go to Port Isolde. Isolde,
yeah,
which is in Rosaria, so it's a new place you go to.
Yeah, I believe
to try to get this ship now.
I believe it's like this little south, but it's on the eastern border, right?
Yes, I think it's like right below Rosalith, technically.
Yeah, But I think then that's like the port that has the direct access to like, the Iron Kingdom.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Like,
and again,
you would use this to get to the Iron Kingdom usually.
It's on the ocean, right? Yep.
But that's also where apparently Byron stays. So you're on your way there.
I'll say, yeah. So after this, now you're still at the hideaway, and now opens up. Yep. So now you have access to like the reports, which you like had before at the old hideaway.
Yeah. Kind of everything we talked about earlier. Right?
Yep. Now you can cash in your renown points right next to where like the reports are. So it kind of explains that. So now doing quests and hunts, you get renown, and it explains like how it works. Basically, you can cash that in for some rewards. Actually, pretty good. It's definitely worth doing because you get like sometimes you get a lot of ability points. You get some accessories, and not too much. Not trying to spoil it, but like further down the road, you basically get one of the best accessories.
Yes.
So it is worth getting some renown.
And this also is another part in doing side quests because every side quest gives you a little bit of renown, which works towards this. So it is a little bit more of another way to incentivize you that even though I did the side quest and I didn't really get anything from that side quest, it eventually will pay off in the end.
Right.
So that's another cool feature.
Already went over like the hunt board basically, everything with that. I think the only other thing is like they have ranks, so some are harder than others.
Oh yeah. Typical. My next note, though, is the typical Gav stays behind.
I literally have the exact same thing, too. Yep.
Like, really, I thought this might be the moment where Gav finally gets to be part of the party. Nope, Gav stays behind again.
I think there's like another side quest or two, but I don't think there were anything.
At this point there was.
Too relevant. I think I had in my note, it's either here.
I think this is one where you do something about the fruit and it shows that you're planting.
Exactly, yep.
And, so there's other things, those little side quests, and then they grow on some of the other side quests that you've already done before.
Yep.
But again, nothing like main story-wise. I think I'd rather just kind of...
Yep.
The main note that I have, though, is Jill talking about facing her past.
Oh, right, yeah. Is that when you get to this place?
I think you just talked to Jill about leaving.
Oh, right? No, so I think you do go to the next area. It's a new area. And like we both have a note of you leave Gav behind. Clive and Jill kind of quick mention, he's keeping an eye on Kupka, basically. Which makes sense. Right? Like, you're leaving again. And if
I think we send him...
And he could attack you, like, again. So it makes sense, like, you're keeping an eye...
Or do we send him out again?
It says Gav is keeping an eye on the Republic. Yeah. So Dalmec and Kupka. And then Clive also mentions, he kind of shouts out, like, Sid here. He's like Sid said, these matters are best left to dominance in case one of the opportunities to grow and change happens to happen. So he kind of like shouts out Sid, mentions like some previous like funny lines by like Sid.
I always knew that I would return one day. Return to Ironhome.
For what?
After learning the truth, you were given the chance to face your past. If I am to continue at your side, I must do the same.
We will face it together then.
To the end.
So Jill kind of real quickly is like talks about confronting her past.
Demeanor
you're kind
changes.
of like you start to know she's acting a little like weird. But she is you're kind of like, what? That does get explained. She talks about her past and everything. So they also explain what happened at Martha's could be happening here because we're in Rosaria. We're just like a little bit more south of Martha's. So they're like, they could be out killing bears. We could be running into more of those black shields out here. On our way to Port Isolde, let's check out some small villages, see what's happening.
And you go to, I put Amber?
Yep, you go to one first one real quick, and you're right on the money. Right away, you see some black shields. You kind of talk to some villagers, like what happened. nothing.
Oh, that's right.
Nothing
That's
too
right. I
crazy.
forgot
They
about this little place, yeah.
they pretty much just tell you, yes, there are black shields around here.
Yeah,
and then they tell you to get the F out.
Yeah, and then they send you to Alden. What is it? I can't
Yes.
remember.
So I think
Another one down the road here. And they
On your
mentioned
way.
something about Guardian of Flame.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, they mention it, and you're kind of like, what?
I think
you
even-
don't even know. And Clive is even like, I don't know what you're...
Clive and Jill are even like, are they talking about us? And you're
Yeah.
kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And you kind of, as your way onto now, like the second village here. Also, too, I have a real quick, just the area. It's a pretty small area, but it's still just me. I had to explore everything.
Yeah, there's still
right?
some things to explore.
But again, I just kind of, it's small, but there's still little.
You could definitely do this in 2 minutes, or you could spend an hour running around.
Right, yep. Oh, real quick. You fight some echoes. If you remember these guys. We've
Yes.
seen in
That's right.
like Phoenix Gate and one other spot.
In the down towards the Mother Crystal.
Yes, right. Sambrack, like the Mother
Yeah.
Crystal.
They both were there. But now there's
I
a
thought
weird spot here.
They mention real quick, Clive mentions that they have started to see more of them since then. So I thought that was a little interesting note. This was a weird line to me. Clive says something like, I have an idea as to why, but you're not going to like it. And I assume he's talking to Jill, but I don't really know what he's talking about.
Yeah, you never like...
They literally go from saying, we're starting to see more of them since the fall of like the Mother Crystal. And then Clive's like, I might have an idea why, but you're not going to like it. And that's the end. And it doesn't say anything more.
And that's as you're running.
Yeah, that's like in the middle of the fight.
Like, you totally miss that. Easily running.
I have an idea, but it's kind of like a spoiler. So, I don't know. Maybe let us know if you came across that.
Yeah.
What you think he's
Put a
talking
note in.
about.
This is where you get to the next place and you find bearers hung.
Yes.
All dead, like, for a while. And being, like, eaten, picked up.
Which
is another kind of shout out to Game of Thrones. If you know.
I feel like they have a couple parts, right, where like people just getting eaten by birds, right?
Danny, if you remember, there's the one slaves. There's like hundreds of them.
She like
that are all
as like
hung
an
up.
example, right?
And then she retaliates by doing the masters, hanging them all up like that.
Yes,
but it kind of was like reminded me of that scene when he walked up and it was like
just
basically. I mean, they're basically slaves. The bearers are all hung and like left as
Game of Thrones level like savage and like gruesome, right?
It was. Yeah, it's a gruesome,
pretty
very
graphic
rough
too. It's
graphic.
not like straight
And zooms
showing them like the birds eating them,
Yeah.
but like it's showing they're like
It zooms in on a couple of
faces. Very what's the word I'm like?
And I think
like it's
you're
disturbing.
supposed to recognize a couple of these people. I think the way that they zoom,
the way it zooms in, I
don't
think
know.
what it's hinting at is you start to notice everyone has a bearer.
Oh, okay. That's just what it's getting at.
you just fought some black shields, and they mentioned something about like we found the bearers. You guys like lost, and you're like, who are they talking about? What?
Yeah, that's so. This whole place,
But
Aldil or whatever, wiped out. Everybody's dead there.
Bunch of birds, just picking on the dead
Big
bodies.
area, and there's absolutely nothing there. So you basically just run right through it.
Yep.
You're
As
just
you're
gonna,
going
like,
through
boom,
these
boom.
areas, you're starting to see like refugees. People are like trying to get in, and I think it's actually Rosalith. Like they're trying to get into Rosalith.
Yes.
And they're just turning them away. Sandbreck, who's
there
controlling it,
that got like kicked out, and then they're trying to get back into it, but like Sandbreck won't let them in. So you go. Apparently, there's like no food and
Yep.
stuff for everybody.
You push on forward to Port Isolde, and same thing. People are just turned away at the gates.
The Rose Gate to get into Port Isolde, and it's blocked by soldiers. And
Again,
they were
turning
like,
people away.
Clive was like, I thought we could have bribed them, and then Jill's like, pretty sure that's what everybody up there thought.
Everybody might have thought that.
And there's like a ton of people screaming, yelling. So then
you're like, okay, we
Clive
got to
is
think another way.
But I do know another way,
And
and
you
it's
haven't-
not known to the public. This
Yep.
was like a secret place.
You literally just passed it. It's like another gate, and as you run past it, they kind of mention like, "Oh, what happened to this area?" Yeah. So you go back there,
Which
and you're
they
like,
call,
"Fingers crossed on a
Lazarus.
yes." You're like, "Fingers crossed, it's abandoned, right?"
Yeah.
Immediately come across some people, kind of thinking they're like bandits looking, and you're like,
Apologies. We'll show ourselves out.
You're like, Clive's like, we'll be on our way. Bye.
Yeah, we're turn around. He just turns around, and starts to walk away, and then the other people come from that other side, and then he's like, or not.
Or he's like, are we really gonna do this? Like, all right.
So you fight these guys real quick, and then somebody stops them.
I've only ever seen one man fight like that, and he's long dead.
Then perhaps it's time you joined him.
The blessing of the Phoenix. It can't be. I was there when you died.
18 years ago.
Clive just like shoots a fireball at him. He's like, oh, join him. Just shoots like a fireball at him, which I thought was kind of funny, right?
Yeah.
Misses.
I do like this one, how they don't. No, he doesn't recognize him, really.
Correct, yep.
Right.
See if you might recognize him.
Sir Wade.
Sir Wade from the beginning. From before Phoenix Gate.
Yes.
Again, another just 18 years later.
Yeah.
He looks older a little bit, too. So
yes, he definitely looks different. He definitely looks older. They did a really good job with him beating up. And this is one where I was like, initially going like 18 years, you remember? But then it was replaying it again on the stream, like, oh, right. Like, Clive is the only one who has the power of the Phoenix outside of Joshua. And so when he says nobody fight like that, when he's using the Phoenix powers, when he's fighting.
And that's the thing, how he recognizes
that has to be
the Phoenix like blast or whatever is. Again, he just shot a fire blast without a crystal.
Yes.
That can only be the power of the Phoenix.
Yeah, it basically was like, that's either Joshua or Clive. And he was like,
you're not blonde. All right.
Yeah.
You're right, yeah.
So he is part, or the basically main guy for these Guardians of the Flame. And it turns out, this is where he explains, that he escaped Phoenix Gate.
Yes.
And when he went back, they basically said, follow us or die. And he took all the remaining followers and they left.
Yes.
And they got away. And he's like, I didn't go far.
Yep.
So he's right outside of Rosaria.
Yep.
And he's been trying to fight back little by little.
The Empire, the Sambrek, right?
But he hasn't had much, there's not a lot of them. There's not a lot he can do.
So,
but he also mentions here that Uncle Byron has actually been fronting money to him as much as he can without getting caught.
Right.
Because he has to still, this is where I was saying before, he has to still put up a front that he is with
the Empire and not... Oh, also, I think we've kind of forgotten to mention this. So, the whole, like, as Otto puts it, the Empire gripping the tightening the grip on the duchy's balls. What they mean is, anybody in Rosaria...
Googling the nectar.
Yes, wow, tongue is tied today. Anybody in Rosaria who is trying to, like, help restore the duchy, who is favored...
Oh, yeah.
Clive, Joshua, Rossfields, the family, they're cutting them out, too, like, with bears. So, it's almost like, back in the day, the Cold War, like, you point a finger at somebody, you're a communist, it's like, no questions asked, you're gone.
Yes.
It's like, hey, that guy's for the duchy,
that
no questions asked,
you
disappear.
Yeah.
So that's, again, like, what the Black Shields are, like, going on, and what he has been trying to...
Yeah, the Black Shields have been basically trying to find the Guardians of the Flame.
So again, why...
So it's kind of like this mini war going on between...
So why Byron has to put on the whole facade is he's with the Empire, because if you are not, you are gone. So he's also dancing that line.
Also probably why Clive hasn't reached out to his uncle.
Because I have... Right. Oh, that too,
He probably doesn't want to make it...
Because Clive now is an outlaw.
Put a target on Byron, right?
Right.
So it's probably why he's waited until now. It's like, all right...
So
now
I have
really need his help.
Here they also mentioned, so now they're the Guardians of the Flame, Wade. That's who the Black Shields were looking for, Wade. I do have in here, like, how have you not known about them, like, this past 5 years now? Like, their job is basically what your job is.
Yeah, somehow he...
But you kind of piece together again. They've been very small. They've been very hidden.
Yeah, and I think they're very small faction based, very right outside of Rosaria and focused on Rosaria's getting that back, where Clive has been more fighting Dhalmekia this whole time.
A lot more recently, this past 5 years, correct.
He has been back and forth with Kupka. And
a lot more, yes.
Running from Kupka and trying to do so.
Yes.
He's been focused on that, where he hasn't really been to Rosaria. Like, that was the first time they've gone back to Rosaria since Phoenix Gate, I think.
That could be.
I think they say that.
They might be, yeah.
Like
if not, it's just to, like, Martha real quick, maybe.
Yeah.
To check. I think they do mention here, Wade mentions the bearers that were all hung up at that one place just right before. They rescued them recently from the Black Shields. And then the Black Shields found them, hung them all up as a message to the Guardians. So you're like, oh, just messed up.
Yeah.
Got it.
And this is where Wade asks for your help.
Yep. He also mentions here, again, Wade even, I think Clive mentions again, like, he's like, I know my mom has something to do with this.
Oh, yes.
Wade mentions Clive's mother's new son with the Emperor of Sanbreque and how her obsession with bearers has grown recently.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of, even he recognizes a change within her
I have something
recently.
Of talk of Annabella's son being the heir to the throne.
Yeah. So that's kind of our...
Not Dion.
Yep.
We have mentioned before, we know who Dion is.
I think this is the first mention
but
of...
apparently there's another son.
Him, right? Of the...
Yes, of the other son. I think it was the
Yeah.
first time you're like, oh wait, she has another son.
And you're like, oh, just another reason to hate her. You know, right?
Such a
like,
bitch.
I think Clive makes a comment like,
it makes
her
sense. I mean,
son,
it's been 18
right?
years since the thing. So she's been with the Emperor for 18 years.
You would, yes, assume,
So,
yeah, that's her
I
whole...
guess.
That was her whole point of
Yes.
betraying the duchy is
Yes.
to
become the
empress,
ruler.
whatever they call her, yeah, and now have a new heir that's... Yep.
She's trying to take over the entire thing by the inside out, basically.
Yep. So he's like, oh! So yeah, like you said, he asks for help against the Black Shields. Somebody kind of comes in, is like, they're on the move. It's like the main host. And so Wade's like, if we can take them out, like, we could do some damage. We could slow them down for a little bit, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Asks for your help because, you know, Clive's unstoppable.
Yeah, my help. Clive was basically like, of course. Like,
right, yep.
It's stick one to my mom. Like, count me in.
Try to stop me, dude.
Yeah.
Say less.
Yeah. So,
Bet.
So you get Sir Wade as a guest.
Yep.
Which was another thing we're talking about. You have a party now of Clive, Jill, and Torgal, but a guest of Wade. And I was like, I don't know the difference, but I think the difference is Wade is only when you're in this area, and then Jill will go back with you.
It kind of mentions that. It gives you a little help thing,
Yeah.
and it basically just says they might not come with you or, like, stay in the area or something.
Basically, it was like, Wade is here for the next fight, and that's it.
Yeah.
And you do, like, one series of fights against these Black Shields, which is pretty fun.
Good fight, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, so there's a couple things here. It would be just a little bit more fun if he, like, now you always had him in, like, Rosaria, the area.
Talking about that.
No, it's literally like just this next
No.
fight or two here.
This was another moment,
Again,
where
you
I was
don't
getting a little
control
bummed
him.
that it's not...
You can't customize him.
I
Really
don't wanna
just
dwell
doesn't
on
add
it.
much.
I don't want to dwell on it too much, but it is another bummer part for me where, like, the main thing of Final Fantasies before has basically been your party members and having a whole party together, and so it was like, this was just a missed opportunity to me.
And honestly, like,
because now this would be a cool point where, like,
he
here we
could
go, you've got to
even
got
be
a party.
like more of a guest. He could be a party member.
Yeah.
Like, Wade is alive. You had him earlier.
Yes. Yeah.
He could literally be a party member.
Yeah, and keep him from now on. He comes with
Like,
you to do it.
Like you kind of talking about earlier. Gav could be a little bit more pirate. Wade with his big axe could be a little bit more of like a warrior. Like,
exactly.
The Viking kind of class.
Or Marauder.
Yes, yeah. Like there's a couple things it could be. Yeah.
It's just a little bit of a bummer to me, but
Yep.
I'm not gonna dwell on it too much.
Not enough to
At least you get him
anything.
for a fight, and that's pretty fun. There's nothing much except for you kick a bunch of Black Shield's asses.
Very satisfying.
Yeah, basically wipe out a good chunk of them. Wade thanks you, and then you kind of.
Oh, I do have. I thought it was funny again in your stream. You're like, this would be a good part to like fight a dragoon again.
Oh,
kind of like have like a rival. And I had to just type in. I was just like, just wait, and you fight a dragoon again.
Fight a dragoon.
So I think this is at least
black. He's
Dark
a black
Knight
shield
kind of. Yes.
Dragoon, but he's white as opposed to the.
Wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he was white. And the rest of the Black Shields were black, but like
black, like outline, kind of, or something.
Yeah, he was different. You could tell he was part of those black shields.
Yeah.
But he was like different.
So it was like yes and no. Like having a rival. This is like at least your third time fighting a Dragoon, but it is different.
They haven't named him.
So you kept saying
he's different.
Oh, he could have been like the same guy, and I kept thinking, well, the first one you fight at Phoenix Gate, like he did, you kill him, and then everybody's dead at Phoenix Gate. So like it can't be him. I remember you fight a second Dragoon with Sid. They could have Sambrek, right? It's still Sambrek. They could have kind of had this guy maybe. So again, if they named him,
I still think they could have ever.
Wouldn't be a big thing, but again, it's just kind of another Final Fantasy theme.
Voices the first one. Why did he not?
That would have been kind of fun. Just name him Mystinian, keep that guy's voice.
That would have been fucking awesome.
Great job. You fight him a couple of times. If you break down the story, kind of makes sense. You kill people so they don't come back.
Yes.
So,
but it could have been like
it's
every time that he would do the typical villain thing, and you beat him up to a point where he's like, don't think you actually won this time. I'll get you next time.
Keeps
and
coming
runs away.
Yeah, they could have had him a little bit more. Yep.
He could have been one of those. That's one thing we are kind of missing in this one, which is typical of a Final Fantasy.
But like in a way, you fight the Dragoon, so it's kind of
again, it's not another thing that I'm like.
You don't want to.
I'm not getting too hung up over it.
Right. So you fight them a little bit, kind of like a mini boss. So, they're like that's supposed to be like their main host, their main force. So you're like, hopefully that slows them down. But even Wade acknowledges like that's not solving the problem.
Right.
They will be back.
This actually, I lied. This I think is when he kind of asks what you're doing. I think this is when you say, "I'm trying to get to my Uncle Byron." He's like, "Oh yeah, he's been funding us." Yeah, I think it says that whole thing.
They explain here now, but I mean,
and then he goes, "Here's another badge, Boy Scout."
I have that in my notes too. I like just kind of funny.
Yeah,
it's kind of
you've got like 4 now, and
I think it is like they kind of make it a running joke in the game. Even it's become a running joke. I would say outside of the game, like on the internet, social media, that like I'm a Boy Scout. There's 40 badges because you do acquire that many.
By this point, you have.
But I think they almost like
4 or 5
they acknowledge it like in the game, and that's why they keep giving you them.
Yeah,
I think they kind of are making it like a running joke.
Basically, he's like, show this to him, and he'll know that you're.
Yeah, so I think again here explains a little bit more about Uncle Byron, their connection with Sir Wade. He's kind of like, here's a way into the city. This is like what we use. But again, it's kind of like still be careful. He has to keep on the facade, right?
Yeah.
I do have though right before going to do the fight with the you just got Wade before doing that fight at the bridge with the Black Shields and Dragoon. This is a good amount of scenes now, so like you might want to keep that in mind if you're at a point of stopping. Like goes into a good chunk of scenes here. You do the fight, shows you Wade now explaining.
Oh yeah, and then just jumps.
And then jumps right in. Now you're just
Speaking of, I know we wanted to get a little bit further before we took a break.
I think this is a good spot,
but this
right?
might be a good spot, I think, to take a little break because I feel like the battery might be a little low. Might be one to overheat, honestly.
Right. Yeah.
So maybe we pause here, take a couple minutes, and then we'll jump into because now you jump right into Port Isolde.
Yes.
And again, like you said, it's a handful of scenes to talk about.
Yep.
And then a long dungeon and a handful of scenes.
Correct.
That's what we're going to try to get through. So, not a great spot otherwise. So, maybe we take
a little break and be back.
Yeah. We're back from the break.
Welcome back.
And we are in Port Isolde now.
Yeah, so Clive and Jill are waiting for him. And I think Jill kind of mentions, like, do you think he believes us? Because Clive's supposed to be dead. And Clive pretty much is like, I don't think so. He's probably going to come in to kill us. And you just hear, like, loud footsteps slowly, like, get closer. And he comes in.
Oh, yeah. I think on the boat, though, it does have a brief moment of, like, Clive's like, yeah, I'm going to have to come up with something that would prove that, like, without a doubt that it's me.
Right, yeah.
Something along the lines
yes,
of that.
I think he does mention something like that. So then Byron comes in and is pretty much, like...
Imagine my surprise when I was told my nephew had come to visit. Clive Rosfield died long ago. And for uttering his name here, You shall pay with your tongue!
So, and then Clive kind of starts, like, babbling here, and you're kind of like, what the fuck?
Clive does this thing, and he, like, fake takes out a sword, and is
that's right. And he's like, are you mocking me?
Yeah, and he's like, and then he starts talking. Babbling, and you're like...
Jill's face is hilarious. She has a total WTF. Like,
it is I, Sir Crandall of Camelot, loyal servant to her serene holiness, Saint Sybil the Unshod. Meadow, thou vile sorcerer, for thy crimes against church and crown, I shall have thy head.
And then they go back and forth.
Yeah.
You figure out it's basically...
his facial expression change
and
in Byron, and he almost like starts tearing up by this point.
And then it gets a little...
starts responding to a Clive. So what you kind of gather, though...
And then they kind of explain. You gather it's like a story or like a play that they used to recite to each other.
Which, on stream, I was laughing at this, though, because I was like, why was that? Like, nobody else could possibly have remembered this story.
Or like know
that Clive liked that story, right? It's like us quoting Adam Sandler every day for 20 years.
Yeah.
But the other part was like, did he really remember that? Like... I was like, couldn't he have just done what he did with Sir Wade and just shot a fireball at him? And then, like...
You're like, what do you think?
I have the power of the Phoenix. Like, why?
He could have just done that.
That was why Sir Wade knew that it was...
Just made a little fire and then, like, dude...
Nobody can use the power of the Phoenix like that. Yep. Only Clive could. So why didn't he do that? I was
like, he goes and does this, like, embarrassing kind of funny thing. And it's like, you almost feel a little embarrassed watching it because you're just like, what is he doing?
What is he doing?
But then, like, very touching. Like, the Uncle Byron starts, like, tearing up and is like, oh my gosh, like, my nephew is alive. Like, this is crazy. So then it kind of, I think, jumps forward a little bit. You're kind of filling him in.
The funny little Clive is like, we gotta talk, like, business or whatever. And Byron's like, that can wait. Found out my dead nephew is alive. So there's a feast.
There's a feast, right? He's like, we had a party, yeah.
And then he's like, bring in all the food you can, basically. It's like, we've got a party first. And then there'll be time to talk. And then, so then they have a dinner and they sit down and Clive explains everything and we need a boat. We're going to go fuck some shit up.
I think he explains kind of the whole, we're after the mother crystals, right? We're going to fuck shit up, yeah. But I do have a note that, again... what's the name? Byron mentions here that Annabella, being like using the black shields and all these like murders and the cullings, he's like, even that's a new low for her. She seems to have changed recently.
Something has changed. Quite what, I don't know, but the woman we knew is gone, and a monster sits in her place.
A monster.
It's like another note of...
Everybody keeps saying
Annabella
seems to be changing.
Right, yep.
Her actions are...
He lets loose the word monster, and Jill seems to react to that. She starts kind of, like we've been saying, she's acting a little weird. Mm-hmm. She, like, responds a little weird to that.
She kind of, like, has, like, looks away and it's like, a monster.
Right.
And you're like... Like, they clearly triggered her.
Yes, right.
Calling her a monster.
Yep. But then he's pretty much like, all right, if you need a ship, I got you one. Mm-hmm. I think he says, like, it'll take a couple weeks to get ready. And you're kind of like, what? I think we need that now. And then they're like, oh, so you, like, believe us? And he's kind of like, no. But, like, yesterday I thought my nephew was dead, so, like, I don't know.
Quiet. A ship you shall have. I've a galley in port, but recently relieved of her cargo. She can be outfitted for the voyage in a matter of weeks.
So you believe us, then? About everything?
Believe you? Ha! Only a fool would believe even half of the things you claim. But until tonight, only a fool would have believed my nephew still lived. And besides, I have it on good authority that Clive is telling the truth.
Whose authority?
By your own, of course. You've always been a terrible liar.
Is that true?
It's not untrue.
Let's say no more about it, eh? It wouldn't do to linger on my nephew's greatest failing.
Just kind of another little, like, funny moment, I think. Yeah,
it's not wrong.
Clive just can't lie because he's so, like, serious, right?
What?
Yeah. It's like, what? Dude, I haven't seen you for 18 years. Kind of jumps into another scene, basically, here. I think that kind of, wraps up. He's like, I'm going to go get everything.
Kind of like Jill and Clive have a scene on, like, they're on, like, a port.
The docks, kind of, it looks like they're checking out, like, the ship or almost.
Yeah,
something.
and I think it more so, Clive was kind of like, what's up with her?
Yeah, he basically finally confronts her. He's like, yeah, you've been acting weird.
Yeah, and this is where she kind of says that she...
Something on your mind?
Monsters. When I served the Iron Kingdom, I did so because I saw no other choice. Because once they learned that the lash would not move me, they turned it on those who could. And so I became their puppet. I let them pull my strings, telling myself it was not my hand that swung the sword, but another's. I removed myself from the truth so I wouldn't feel the pain it caused. And before I knew it, I no longer felt anything. Anything at all. I had become a monster.
Thinks of herself as a monster because of what they made her do in the Iron Kingdom.
Yes, I have. She feels like she gave up, like she became their puppet, and I think she's kind of like she said before, I want to confront my past, and I think she's kind of here. She says like, how does she put it? Like, I feel like I need to do this so I can like be next to you, stand with you in this cause.
Yeah.
I think she does say too, like, you got to kind of confront your past and face the truth. Like, I need to do that too. Yeah. Because, like she says,
she wants to be a better person by facing her past. And I put in quotations, promise me you won't die with it.
I'll be standing there with you, just as you stood with me.
Thank you, Clive. I must atone for my sins. Only then, when it's done, will the monster cease to be.
Just promise me that you won't die with it.
I do have the journal, explains it like a little bit. A little journal summary you have. It kind of mentions basically like what you said, like she's going to confront her past by going after him, by killing this guy.
She's like, I need to kill my past. Basically like by killing him it kills my past.
Yeah.
And I can know, and then I can feel
like worthy almost. She almost feels like she's like, I shouldn't be, almost like, I don't deserve to be doing good.
Yeah.
Because I've been such a monster in the past, right? Like
with what I've done, which it made me even more so of like, what has she done?
Yes.
She's really, really laying this on like heavy guilt of like,
because
she's done something unforgivable.
Yeah.
Almost.
And she's killed kids and women, right?
Yeah.
Because you almost get like, in the beginning, the fight with Shiva and Titan, like that was like her first time coming out and like fighting a battle.
Almost,
but now it's not sounding like that. It's sounding like she has killed
why
hundreds,
her arm is
thousands.
already like in Sid's development. Why her body is like failing because they have been abusing her power.
Yes,
for years it seems like.
So now, after that, you're back at the hideaway.
Yes.
Got control of Clive again. Been a little bit.
Oh yeah, he says it's going to take a while. So then you go back to the hideaway and wait.
Correct. Yep. Couple more side quests open up here now. The only one I kind of have like a mention of, it's another +1, so you can get something from it. It's Blacksmith Blues, and it also, this is a long string of like quests. This one is like 4 or 5 in the chain. So again, it might be a good one to like go into. You don't have to do it right now. I do think if a quest leads to another quest, let's say you do this later, it just it gives you the next quest right away.
I haven't tested this out yet.
Right.
But yeah, I believe that you get some new equipment. You can
craft some new stuff
or something like that.
As always, good recap with Vivian and Hippocrates. We're gonna pretty much say that every time you come back to the hideaway.
I think that's what you're supposed to do when you first get to the hideaway. You're supposed to go to Vivian to find out what you're supposed to expect going to the kingdom.
That's correct.
And this is where she explains, if you haven't read the lore one, this is where she really explains the whole history of the Iron Kingdoms and how
even
their
Rosaria
religion
too.
works,
Yep.
and the history of it, and basically how they worship the crystal as a god itself, it is their god, and so therefore using the magic powers is evil.
Taking the crystals from the mother crystal, using magic, right? Yeah. Bearer dominant is a sin.
For anything, you are terrible.
You're using their god, right? You're something, right?
You're evil by doing that. Yeah. So that's how their religion feels.
And you get a little bit of history too of them and Rosaria. They've been at war, and you kind of learn that they went up to fight the northern continents back in the day or kingdom.
Yeah, because the northern continents had a crystal, mother crystal that died.
I think it was the first one to go
80 years ago or something.
They say it was a while ago, right?
Yeah.
So it seems like
they do give you dates, but
yes, it seems like the north was the first place to get affected. So they're coming down
because this was how Jill got into Rosaria's.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because again, she's from the
north.
north.
North came down to attack Rosaria because they lost their crystal.
Yep.
And
now at this time, Rosaria owns.
To fight them.
They own this Drake's Breath, the fire crystal, basically.
Yes.
So that's what the North is trying to attack to get. Rosaria defending against the North, the Iron Kingdom sneaks in and captures it, and they explain that they have had it now for 80 years. Yeah, so again, this is where it's a little interesting. Of Rosaria has the Phoenix, the dominant, but they don't have the mother crystal. Technically, they don't have ownership of that.
Crystal. And then that's also the very beginning of the game, before the whole time jump. When Clive was younger, when he first was talking with his dad.
Yeah.
What he was saying is that the Iron Kingdom was sneaking in then. To get more land, they needed more land,
and they're
so they're going to start attacking us.
They're we got to go get that crystal.
We're going to attack them first.
Yep,
is what the whole plan was, and that was why you were going to Phoenix Gate in the first place.
Correct,
was to do a pre-war prayer to
talk to the ancestors and
Phoenix's
before you
powers or something
before you go to war.
And then he was going to plan on taking the Iron Kingdom and take the crystal. So Vivian basically explains all of that, and now you've had more context, so
yes,
it's pretty interesting.
So you understand them a whole lot more.
Of, what this kingdom
I have what's interesting is so they are a different religion. They're called the Crystalline Orthodox. That religion they call it, of worshiping the crystal. Easy to remember. It is different from Sanbreque's religion. They have a religion they always say Gregor.
Yeah.
Again,
or the founder.
Yeah, don't have to go too much into that. That's some more lore stuff. But both of them are run by the religion. The church is the highest power. So I thought that was a little interesting. There are different religions and how they run their country, their state. Then you go touch base with Jill.
When you told me you had to come to terms with your past, you weren't talking about destroying Drake's Breath, were you?
No. I spoke of Imran, the leader of the Crystalline Orthodox, the man who made me do all those unspeakable things. I'm going to kill him. It's what I need to do to put the past behind me. What I need to move forward.
I think you mentioned this in your stream.
And I know that I can do it.
She kind of says something he's done horrible things. Yes. I'm going to kill him. And you get a little bit of she's a victim.
Yeah,
vibe.
I
little bit of
took it a little bit in she was abused.
Yes.
Possibly
molested,
sexually abused this whole time. The way she was I hate this man for what he's done to me.
What
he's done to me, like how she was saying it, and it was like,
yes, yeah.
What has he done? Like, this guy sounds awful. The way she absolutely hates this guy and has to kill him to rid herself of everything.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like... Because we've come across people who are killers, and it's kind of like, kill them. Like, they're bad.
Yeah.
But then this is, like, the next step up, right?
Yeah. So
but yeah, so she's
like...
Made
me, I was, like, prepared. Like, what did this guy
But I love it because she literally is like, I'm going to kill him. You know?
Yeah.
And you know, you playing it, you're like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
The part 2 that I thought was very interesting in this game, almost every other game or story, there's going to be some sort of like arc, right? You would think Clive would be like, killing him isn't going to bring justice, like it's not going to bring you happiness, it's not going to fix your problem.
Revenge isn't the answer.
The past isn't going to go away just because you killed him.
We're better than them. Don't stoop to the villain's level.
You think that was going to be
waiting for like that response, and Clive's like, oh, I'm helping you.
Yeah, he's like,
Ride or die. Ride or die, bae.
You were by my side at Phoenix Gate, and I will be by your side for this.
Yes.
In so many words, he basically says the same.
Right.
So, I was waiting for it this whole time, and we'll get to it here. That was kind of like, you're like, all right, she's out to kill.
Yeah, you're like, all right.
This is one of the first times we've seen this with Jill.
Yes, yeah.
Jill's demeanor has definitely changed. This is where Jill starts to really become like badass.
Jumps up on like the character rank, like she's sneaking up here now.
Yeah, because before this I was kind of like,
she's there. Right. She's been very important, but like still feels just like kind of
how much I liked her as a character. I was just like, her character design's alright, you know. I was just
Yes.
But here I was kind of like, whoa. Well, now there's some emotion, some development with her character,
and a little bit of a different
tone,
different mature like side of a story to like, because we've come across a lot of killing and death, and now this like we're almost like
is this different,
hinting at a kind of even more dark thing in here, you know, and you're kind of like, you know,
Jill's
going to Drake's breath.
I think when you talk to her, then you immediately I think just go.
I think it opens up the map, and it's like
and then you go here, and then you're on the boat with her. This part was really cool to me. Like, you're on the boat and you can tell it's like very foggy.
Yes, right? There's like a mist, cloudy. Right?
And then Clive is like,
useful trick. Freezing and thawing the spray to make mist. How did you learn to use your powers like this?
The masters made me do it. When the Crusaders took to the seas to keep the fleet's movements from prying eyes.
Then she kind of winces.
Yep, you see her.
She's in
powers
pain.
taking a toll on her body. Yep, and Clive again like, being like,
"You don't have to do this." Yeah, I'm just like, it's fine. I'm fine. But I just thought that was a really cool power.
I thought it was cool to show magic in a little different way. Yeah, and you're kind of now thinking like, man, like what? Wow. Yeah, what could like dominance do like with their powers and stuff? Like, could Sid make a thunderstorm? Right? Like,
right. Could he make it rain then too?
Yeah, right. Yeah, real interesting. Yeah. So then you real quick you land on the shore, and I just kind of have like Jill explains she kind of knows her way around because she's been here for 13 years. Yeah. Again, what's a little interesting here? So you're going to, I call them the Iron Kingdom. You know, the Iron Blood.
Yes.
They have what's the name? It's like starts with an H. It's like Haran. Something weird. It's what you call them, but then that's I think where they get the iron from because it sounds like iron. But they pretty much just always. Vivian mentions it like once.
Oh.
But they pretty much just call it the Iron Kingdom. But what's interesting is.
Oh yeah, she does say something. The Heron.
They have like their home island, and then where you're going, where the crystal is another island. But again, like they took it over, so they're mostly there. But again, there is kind of two islands. One is kind of more like the home and one's more the crystal, which again they kind of explain is like their holy ground.
Yes.
Jill mentions that this is where she was for 13 years. And they mention how so she knows her way around, right? And it's a very dangerous place. Like it's rocky edges.
Yeah.
It's a volcanic island. So even Clive's like, this is just like a natural fortress. Like the crystal's here, so there's ether floods, rough currents that would slam you into rocks, and there's a volcano like in lava, like.
Rough rocks,
But then that's how they're like, hey, that's why we can sneak up because it's just Clive and Jill landing. Yes. They're like, That's why we could just sneak up ourselves, right? So you start a stage. I do have. You get to see like this mother crystal, like this fire one now, very different looking. The first one, like you saw, Sambrek, was very like elegant. It looked like the crystal, Final Fantasy crystal. Yeah. This one is like jagged. It's like angry looking. It almost looks like demonic. Like it looks like a dark crystal. Like it's all like fiery, badass red. Yeah.
I actually made it a background on my stream thing.
Is it? Yeah. It's a very
background picture.
Yeah, very cool one. But again, it's literally a volcano island.
I literally took no notes of this until we get to the first boss.
That's probably good. Yeah, I got just a couple things. I'm gonna try to fly through. But yeah, so I almost like want to liken it to like Mordor of Lord of the Rings, like where you're going, just this jagged wasteland and like volcano and fire.
Has that feel to it.
So you're again, going through this dark place, and they mention ether floods, so you're working your way through them, fighting some Akashic beasts. It's a stage, and this is a pretty long one. So I have don't use
There's just multiple.
There's a good amount of bosses.
I think you fight 3.
I think you fight 3 bosses and just as many, if not more, mini bosses.
Yeah.
It's definitely. So I'm kind of have don't blow through your items and your buffs right away. Kind of hold on to them because it's a little bit longer.
Because I don't think you go very far and then you fight a boss pretty quick, right?
Yes, I do have. You get an accessory, a rare treasure box that holds something.
Oh.
And I feel like now you kind of start to figure out stages.
Are where the
have the gear.
Are. Yes.
Most open areas don't. Yes. There are very few ones. I'll try to shout those ones out.
Yeah.
I can think of a few off the top of my head where there is a random piece of gear, but you do
and
get.
What's funny is those I think are really good ones.
there are 1 or 2 that are super good. You do find one sword, and it is better at the point you can find it.
I think the health accessory.
Did you find that one?
Is that one? I think
there is another accessory that's pretty good.
I don't remember exactly where I find it.
Again, going through, we'll try to shout those ones out. This one is Aerial Blast, which is Garuda's what we call super move, ultimate move. Giant tornado. It reduces that cooldown. So I'm kind of at this point, if you haven't tried out that move, good time to try out that move. I feel like the game giving you an accessory for it is kind of telling you to use it.
Yes.
At this point, right? Real quickly, though, you come across a familiar nest.
Yes.
And what jumps out is a Morble.
Yeah.
But it's Akashic. So you're
when you walk into it, Clive is
wait.
I know this nesting ground.
He throws a rock.
I know what this looks like.
Yeah. You're oh. And
I was kind of
Morble, Malboro.
I guess you wouldn't forget that. That's kind of a traumatic moment.
Right, yep.
We first fought the Morble.
So basically, mostly the same fight. Got a few other moves.
Pack of cigarettes.
Right.
What are they called?
Marlboro or Marlboro. Marlboro.
Yeah,
I still can't say it right.
Cigarettes.
But what I was saying, you can get through this guy without really using any items. You can use a potion or 2 or stuff like that. But I would say save your buffs.
Although, on hard mode, I did die on him.
Oh, really?
I made a note of it. I was on hard mode, I died to him.
Interesting, yeah.
I think I had a third health, and I thought it was okay, and he hit me, and he just killed me, and I was holy shit.
They hit.
No.
So, after that guy, nothing too much crazy there.
What?
You go
Why
through...
do I have Mount Drust Anus? The volcano.
Well, Drustinus. That's
my notes look like I literally wrote it Dust Anus.
Dust Anus. That's the name of the island.
The volcano is called Dust Anus.
What is it in Thor Ragnarok? They're you got to go through the wormhole. Devil's Anus. So we're at
is that
Mount Devil Anus.
I don't know if I wrote my notes there. I did. I put LOL, so I think I wrote it that on purpose.
Yeah.
Mount Dust Anus, the volcano.
But that's the name of the island, right?
Yeah.
Where you're at.
I think so.
So after the Morble fight, you go through kind of a doorway, and I kind of said you're more into tunnels now, and you're
Yeah.
more like in the volcano.
Yeah, now you're. Yeah.
They kind of
Yeah,
mentioned
the
they're
earlier
like,
part was
you
like
start to see
climbing
them
up it.
sweat.
But yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and now it's like,
This is like,
they're
yeah, you can-
in it. They talk about how hot it is.
Yeah, and you're seeing lava now.
Yes,
around
right.
all over.
Earthquakes start happening, and Jill's like, "Oh yeah, you know,
That
no
happens.
big deal."
Mhm.
Clive's like,
Shit happens. He's like, huh? She's like, yeah, it happens all the time.
yeah.
like,
So then
"You sure
you
we're
come
okay?"
across the bridge, and lava is just spewing over it,
Mhm.
right? And you're like, what the hell?
Guess we can't go this way.
So you get to see Jill go semi-prime,
Mm-hmm.
and she's able to hold the lava back for a little bit, like freezing it. And you guys kind of
freezes the lava.
yes. So I feel like at one
Jill's
point you're like,
fucking strong.
whatever, but then you're like lava just melts like anything, right?
Yeah,
That's
like-
what it is.
It's like so hot.
Yeah.
Just melt you.
And she's able to
instantly, and she's
freezes
freezing
that.
it.
Yeah. So then you can.
I guess it wouldn't take much to cool it down and turn it to like rock, but like she like.
I guess
chunks
that
frozen,
yeah, that's almost
right?
been like. But I think also the point is it's constantly flowing,
Mhm.
so like you can't just freeze it, harden it. It's
Yeah.
constantly coming out.
Her
Right?
ice was like strong enough that it could keep it without
Yeah.
melting through enough.
Interesting.
That you can run across.
idea. Can freeze a.
Another moment where I was
Can
like, damn.
Shiva freeze
Jill is
a volcano?
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, but yeah. So that
So
little.
apparently Shiva's super effective against Ifrit.
Yeah, yeah. Quick note: like right after this, it's kind of like one of those mini boss guys. Doesn't have a full health bar, stagger gauge, right? It's a red flan.
Yeah,
These
those
guys are tough, and I feel like
Until
if
you figure out their attack patterns, they can
yes,
be really tough.
they have a lot of like area of effect, so they're hard to dodge.
Mhm.
And I feel like if you have the right move set, they can be a little bit easier. Like if
Mhm.
you have a couple of the
You really need to
deflecting ones and counter,
Yeah,
those moves are a little bit more help. But like
you
you're
need
not really
higher
gonna-
stagger on them.
Yeah,
I've learned that they don't take. It's funny because the flans usually are like you do magic, they don't take physical. So this one is like they really don't take much damage until you stagger them.
yeah.
So you really have to like.
So this is like a
stagger
little
and then
mini
do a
boss
shit
fight.
ton.
You're like, oh, I'm not gonna like use anything. And you're like, all of a sudden, like, I have to use like 2 high potions on
Yeah.
this guy. Like, what the heck?
Yeah, first time through, I think I was like, dude, I'm getting my butt whooped. What is this thing?
Right? Like he's
'Cause he has,
he's
like,
harder than the marble.
His
like
timings are really goofy too with
Yes.
his attacks. He does one of those where like you
Winds
think he's
up.
gonna, and then he like does like a
so
double
you
take
dodge
on
and you miss. Yes, exactly. Right after this, you get another rare treasure box that has something in. You actually get some equipment, some like bracers or whatever. So
This is where I don't remember because it's different on hard mode. I think.
Yeah, you don't get it again, right?
Yeah, you get like different equipment on
Yeah,
hard
I've-
mode. I think so. I forget what it is.
Early like easy mode save file, yeah. So like getting
And I
get a
didn't-
couple of those
I didn't
treasures.
go through it yet on easy mode again.
But then it's so right here you might want to save and kind of heal up because like right after that flan and that treasure box is a boss fight.
I was gonna say I think this is right where you go into the
little fire
Fafnir
lizard
like creature. I
Yes.
said. So he looks exactly like Fafnir if you remember.
Just on fire.
Yeah, basically from the beginning, the giant lizard.
You fight him with Sid.
Yes.
And
first boss with Sid.
I thought it was interesting. Jill calls it a demon. She
Oh.
goes, "Oh, like one of the demons. What are they doing? They normally don't like attack or whatever." And
Oh.
Clive's kind of like, "This one does."
Huh.
So they seem to know them. I don't know, like these beasts in this volcano, right? The first time you fight this guy, like the lizard guy, he kicked my butt. So again, I feel like I had trouble with this guy. Like
Yeah, I was
first
saying,
go through.
he basically is the same thing, but
So he might be
slightly
easier because he's the
faster
same,
even.
but he's like on fire.
But then like he leaves
And
like fire trails. I think
he
if I
goes
remember
like on fire, and it's like bigger area of effect damage. Again, like hard time dodging him. He starts shooting fire out of his mouth, and I'm like, okay, that's Godzilla. I was like, he literally stood up on like 2 feet and like fires a blast
yeah.
at you, and
Yeah,
I'm
that's
like,
right.
that's Godzilla. Like
That was
that.
straight up.
I thought that was like kind of cool.
Yeah,
I
that's
would
pretty awesome.
use like a buff or 2 here. He's a pretty good fight. Like you're gonna have to, you might whittle down. He might whittle you down on some potions here. Yeah, you fight that. You fight that thing back.
So yeah, after
You
you,
know what's kind of
after
funny?
you beat
It
him.
falls into the lava where
Yeah.
it came from.
Yeah, so I took that as like it just ran away.
Yeah, that
Like, it
might
didn't
be
die,
more
like,
what it.
it like literally is a lava monster, so it just like went back into the lava.
You know,
ran
which is
away.
funny too, because you don't beat the first one,
He runs
and then
away.
Sid has to like. I think
Oh, yeah,
Sid
yeah.
finishes it off with like,
Right.
like a semi-prime move, like. So I think that's a little
right.
interesting. I
Mhm.
think it's shown that these things are tough as hell. Like,
Mhm. So after you beat him, though, there's just a little scene of it, and Jill's kind of like winded, and Clive's like, "You all right?" And she goes, "Yeah, I'm just a little hot."
Yeah, they got like yes again
Showing
like,
that, like
it's gotta be hot as hell in
but
here, right?
it's also her like denying that she's using her powers fighting him, and it's taking a toll on her again. Like,
yes, she's
like
still
her powers are really
she's still
taking
like
a toll
I gotta
on
do
her.
this.
Yeah.
A little note here, I thought it was a little interesting callback. So you just fought the Morble, and if you remember way back in the beginning, after you fight the Morble, either Wade or Tyler, who you're with, gives Clive a drink of water. He's exhausted. He's winded. Now after this fight, Jill's winded. Clive is the one to give her water.
You pick up on some of those
That's
little subtle things.
because
there,
this is
and
literally my third playthrough now.
But that's a really cool observation.
So I felt like
Really
that was a
subtle
callback
detail. Yes.
because you just fought that Morble. They could have maybe done it after the Morble fight, but I think it kind of like
makes
you're
more
saying,
sense. You're in the volcano now.
You're
and
in the
she's
volcano.
ice, so-
She's winded, and he's kind of like, I've been here. Like I know what it's like, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was a little fun nod back to pretty early beginning.
The gate to the inner chambers is just up there. Then we make for the sanctuary. I need to finish this before the heat finishes me.
Oh, so I just have. So now you kind of go through another doorway, and it's more of like a stone castle fortress. So it seems like you're a little bit out of the volcano. You're in the You're like in a castle in the volcano.
Yeah, it's
So like I'm
really
kind
odd.
of a little odd, right?
You're like
I'm a
inside of a mountain that is a volcano, but like now you're like outside of where the lava portion is slightly.
So I'm kind of wondering,
Yeah, it's
did
kind
it
of,
cool off a little bit? Do they have a little insulation because of like the stone walls, or is it just as hot?
Yeah,
you know, right?
This is
Like,
what it's- yeah, I don't.
just gotta
It has to be
literally hell, right?
It's
Like
little out of a place, but I'm not
so
too
you
crazy.
sneak through the handmaidens like quarters. You
Mhm.
see kind of some maids running around cooking and stuff, and Jill sees her friend, this like lady, who,
Marley.
yes,
Marley.
something like that, right? Yeah.
The way I have it's written is
runs
like
into
Marley,
her.
but I think it's Marley.
You kind of just quickly get she was like one person that was kind to her when
She seemed a little bit older, like she might have been a motherly figure.
a mother
to
figure,
her.
totally, right?
Yeah.
What I have is really funny. So she like calls her over, and she kind of runs you like away to go talk in private. Everybody sees you.
Yeah, you see everyone like talking.
Everybody's like,
behind you and
oh.
walking around. Yeah.
And I was kind of like, everybody just saw you. Okay, we'll put a
not
pin in.
really like.
Yeah, we'll put a pin in that. You know.
So much for sneaking.
Mm-hmm. Basically, you know, they kind of real quick reconnect, and Jill's real quickly is like, "Where's the patriarch?"
Yeah, Marley was kind of like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
She
And
says,
she's like,
"I have unfinished business." What do they call him? The patriarch.
Patriarch. Like, where is he?
Yeah.
Imran.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, this word cracks me up. I literally had to write it down. She's like, oh, he's in the Colmrach. I swear every time they say whatever this word is, it's like Coimrack. I swear every time they say it, it becomes more like. At first, it's like the Colmrach, and you're like, "Oh, okay." And Jill's like, "That's the sanctuary, the heart of the Mother Crystal." I swear, each time they say it, it's like Colmrach, and by the end, they're just like
Straight to the Comric.
The Comric.
Comric!
Another little.
Tell me.
How she puts it, the lady that you just met, something like, "Oh, he's at that spot." Giving thanks, and Jill's like, "Oh, that fiend!"
Oh, that's right.
Giving thanks.
You mean?
Oh, that fiend! Clive, we have to get to the sanctuary. Now.
So that lady kind of took you to kind of like another room to talk in private. Quickly, she literally, Jill just says like, "Where is he?" She's like, "This is where he's at."
Yeah.
And then quickly, like knocking, they're like, "Hey, we found you," and it's like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
you found immediately." I could have told
like
you
you said,
that. Like,
literally everybody saw us. So like
next minute, they're
one
like,
of them probably went and said something to the guard, and they were like, "Yeah, you're in
nobody
there."
comes to this volcano island.
Way to sneak in, guys.
Yeah, right. It's like
It was a Sid shortcut.
Yeah, dude. You're like, we're
Is that what the nod
like,
is?
we're gonna sneak in and be quiet, and then you walk in first person, you see, you're like, hey,
Is that-
what Scooby Doo shit
what
is this?
What is this? Like a nod though, like to Sid, where she was like, "I got a shortcut." It's like
I almost wonder if that's
joke,
what it
right?
is. Yeah, one of the opportunities.
Clive
to
goes
grow
with
and
on another
change.
one of these shortcuts, and it's like, God damn it, this was not a shortcut.
The idea is not trying to get killed, right?
Yeah.
Like
We were supposed to sneak in there and not
quickly
say hi to
found, and
everybody.
he kind of just like she kind of helps you escape, kind of like locks
goes
the door,
goes out the back door basically,
and it's like,
head there to the
this
sanctuary.
is towards the sanctuary.
So
right?
what did you call it?
The Comrade. Yep.
Comric.
The Comrec.
Comric!
I have the music. The music.
That's exactly what I put. Music is so cool here.
Music
of
has been
course.
very good at like the
Yeah.
past like spot or two, and then here all of a sudden it's just like you gotta take a minute to
I was
listen
gonna
to
say,
it.
It's another one of those where you just stop and you spin around and look at everything, and like this world is this background
Yes.
is amazing. We're in some giant castle in a volcano, and you still see the mother crystal up in the
Again, yep, you see
background,
all the
this
crystals
giant,
spread
cool
around.
colors, reddish,
And the
stuff
music
everywhere.
just fits. It's
And
this
it's
like,
just
evil organ, kind of like there's like this chanting, and it's just so fitting.
Yes.
It gives you like the goosebumps. You're just ready to go. Yep, I was gonna say like, I have it
Literally,
like,
they've
here
done it
again,
like once per stage. I've stopped and been like, "This music."
I think they do. I think there is like a new theme every like stage, right?
Yeah.
And again, I know we've talked about in the sense of new and still bringing in that old Final Fantasy feel.
You
It's just
still
amazing.
feel the, how do I want to put it, the themes that Nobuo Uematsu had drilled into us from 1 through 9.
Yes.
You still hear those occasionally throughout all of these songs, and the same, I don't know if it's the melodies or something of them, but it still is completely unique enough to be like, this is a totally different song.
Yep.
With every once in a while, you're like, that's a Nobuo Uematsu thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
That's a Nobi, man. You know,
It's
a
like,
clip to it. And
so-
this is one of those. It's just
Yep.
so like, this is so Final Fantasy. I think this is this the one that I was like, this kind of reminded me of like Kuja's almost, where he, not his main theme, but he has the other one where it's very organy
Yes.
and creepy. Is this the one that's like that?
I think so, yeah.
That's the line.
Right.
Because it's like an organ piano, basically,
Yeah.
right? Creepy.
I think
like
it's
that.
almost like, I think it's Garland's theme in 9.
You're right. It might be Garland's.
And I'm picturing Paramecia? Pandemonium?
Pandemonium.
Where did I get Pandemonium? Pandemonium, yep.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, I think you're right. It might be one of those. But yeah, it's in that. So it's in that same feel.
Yes,
of that
yeah.
Creepy, epic, evil. Something's going down.
Yep.
Like,
So
know,
you're ready to go.
So
You're ready to head to the Comrade. So you fight through some Iron Blood here. Again, just more satisfying fights. You know, you're just wrecking
Yes.
them. I have here, like, you get plenty of potions here because you just fought, like, the boss. So hopefully you can kind of restock.
I made another note too. Then Jill, I thinking this is as like you're running, or this was what I've seen. She says that she's seen the Patriarch do things that no one should see,
Just, like, unspeakable things.
and swore he would die by her hand for
Again.
seeing him do it. And this is again where my mind is like, what
immediately going dark.
fuck did this guy do?
But I feel like that really finalizes it. This one is like, again, if she just saw him kill people,
Yeah.
she would just say that. She's like the two things of like unspeakable things. Like, what's even worse than that? And then like, I have to kill him. Like,
Yes. Which makes me think that she helped him do these things over these years.
which would make sense
forced
because
to-
again, her power. Like,
Yes,
right?
yes.
They used
So-
her power to. Yes. So again, you're like, I was
real close
expecting
here. We see
to basically come up on him and he'd be like sexually assaulting somebody is what I'm
Which
expecting
I
we're gonna go
think-
find.
we just do a few fights, right, and then we walk in on this, right?
So basically,
I don't
yep,
have
you
any
do
other
one little
notes
kind
until
of
that.
one little like what's the word I want to say? Fight, where more guys come in, a
Yes,
little gauntlet. You do kind of like a
Yeah.
good little fight. You get another accessory, get the cooldown with a Will-O-Wisp ability, which I love that move.
Oh, yes.
And again, last point before a huge story dump.
Yes.
So if you don't have about an hour left to play, you might have to
Yes, this
stop
is-
here
this
and
is
put
another one
aside
of
some
those where
time.
It's like bam, 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 nothing to stop, and fantastic stuff happens.
Yes, so you see some scenes, a boss fight, lots more scenes, so if you don't have too much time, you might have to come back.
Walk in.
And they're like praying They're like chanting,
I
praying.
said there's some like ritual.
Yeah.
At the heart of Drake's breath.
Yep.
You can tell it's
right
some
at the
sort
heart
of
of the Mother Crystal.
ritual like thing. There's a handful of priest-looking guys.
And then, so you got people like praying, assuming to the crystal. That's their religion.
I think she might.
He reveals like an altar, covered kind of, and uncovers it, and you see 2 dead bodies.
Yeah, I said
so you
2
kind of
dead
get,
bearers.
Yep.
Being sacrificed.
You definitely get sacrificial like ritual.
She's a crystal. So
Jill comes in, and yells at him. Imran! No, Imran, right?
Yeah.
Great performance by the voice actor here, blanking on her name.
Yeah, what?
Another.
I only remember Ben Starr for some reason.
I know,
I'm sorry
right?
to the rest of you.
Yes.
You're all amazing and incredible.
All
for some reason,
awards.
Ben Starr is just an easy enough name for me to remember.
Short
I think
sweet,
it's boiled down to. I love every single one of the cast
but just
in this game.
Outstanding job here. Like, it's hard to like you get that like tickle in your throat, a little teary eyed,
and you can tell that like she has that behind her. It's one of those moments that like it's so important to her that it's so emotional that like she almost can't talk. She's like choking up a little bit, just trying to talk.
Yeah, like
one of those moments
it comes through. Yeah,
you can just feel in your chest and your throat is closing and your eyes welling up. Like you can just hear that and feel that coming out of her voice in this moment.
Yep.
For years, I followed your orders, fought your wars, all to protect the children you took, just as you took me. And what did you do in return? You put them in chains and you slit their throats.
That line,
that delivery, that might be one of the top that's in the top 5 of the whole game, right?
And I think that was the moment I was like, Jill's character went through the roof for me.
Yes.
Where I was like, even that line, like this whole thing is where I was like, she went from like an okay character for me to like, she is in my top female characters of all Final Fantasy, I think. She's probably top 5.
She earned her main character spot,
yes.
right? Like,
yes. And it's a little unusual. We'll get when we get through this whole thing.
Yes.
That you wouldn't necessarily expect.
This ain't your kid's Final Fantasy story, man.
Yeah, but just the delivery of that line and
then it is.
But so this is where my mind going to like even more so like so sacrificing children.
She does, I think, specifically say children there.
Yes.
So again, I think our minds are going a little darker route too.
Yeah.
They don't not say it.
Right.
You know?
Right. And like
you put them in chains.
Did she help him gather the bearers to sacrifice them?
That's what I'm thinking, right?
Yeah. Like
that's what they would do. They would go and attack like the mainland.
It still is just like
steal like bearers.
I guess is that what she's saying?
To sacrifice
him kill children is just like nobody should ever see that.
Yeah,
I think is what she's getting at.
He would like force her to watch it too to like make sure she would comply, right?
I suppose, but he sacrifices children to the crystal that he believes is God.
And so he kind of elaborates on that. His next lines then.
Fiend. Their souls were sullied with the stain of ether. I merely cleansed them of their corruption. A penance paid, just as the Holy Mother wills it!
He like laughs after Jill says that. He like laughs and he's like, oh, I had to. Like, they're all stained with ether.
Yeah,
so he says
their souls were sullied by the stain of ether, and he just cleansed them of it.
So it's like you have one of these guys that's like so evil and messed up, but he thinks he's good.
Yes, and he looks at that they're bearers.
Yep.
So he's like, they were bearers, they're evil, and all I did was cleanse them of that evil.
Like, I am holier than thou.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think what they would do...
It's like a Hitler moment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I just realized it.
Yeah. He thinks he's doing the...
Literally like
cleansing.
Hitler. Like what
that is
Hitler
exactly
would say with the Jews, right?
Yeah.
It's basically he's like... They're evil people, yeah. And he's thinking that he's...
So I think you're... So what he...
So
their religion,
that makes more sense to me. And yes...
With their religion, I think that's what their mission would be. They would go and attack the mainland, steal bearers... to cleanse them,
and then we use
Jill for
to steal the bears and then be able to sacrifice
and
them.
Let alone even children is how messed up this guy is.
And if she didn't comply, then they would threaten to kill
they would even
children.
Yep.
In front of her.
Oh man.
Other children.
So
or something.
yes,
so, understand completely now why Jill is like, I have to kill this man, and it has to be by
Yep.
my hand because he has forced it.
Made me do it. Yes.
Yeah.
So you quickly hate this guy so much. Like he has given Annabella, Clive's mother, a run for her money,
yes,
dude. You hate
the
him
most hated.
immediately.
I also have then he says,
Repent, abomination! For a monster like you to set foot in the Holy Cymric is in itself a crime deserving of death.
The you stepping foot in the Cymric is like a sin. You know, again, like just her being like alive is just like a sin. You know, right?
Yeah.
And then she also
like,
says like,
You're right. I am a monster. And my soul is stained black. Though not by ether. But by the evil of men like you, who made me close my heart and drown in darkness when I should have raged against it. This is my penance. I will be your monster no more. Nor will I suffer you to create another.
my heart is stained like black from like darkness, you know, from what you made me do. And her point now, I think this sums up her whole thing. She's like, I should have. There's another great delivery. I'm really getting goosebumps thinking about saying it.
He calls her a monster one more time.
Yes,
right? Like you're the monster.
She's like, I should have fought and raged against it. And then then he calls her a monster, and she's like, the classic. I know what you are, but what am I?
Yeah.
But is like, well, what does that make you? I was forced into it.
Yes.
You do this by choice. Like, what are you?
Yeah.
And what are you, Imran? I was forced to kill. You do it by choice. But never again. I bowed to you once. Now it is you who shall bow to me.
Kill them.
This might be.
This is a top part, right? Like this is.
God, I
the
know.
more
I think we say that every episode, but like.
This is top 5, top 3.
This part was
like
this part. It was kind of originally felt like it was kind of out of the blue.
I feel like you come into this a little bit like, oh, okay, yes, we're destroying a mother crystal, but like Jill's past. You're kind of like,
yeah, it was like
whatever.
This though.
Also, now you're like,
we had a conversation. I'm gonna jump a little bit.
Yeah,
we had a conversation off podcast a while ago about this, but this is my problem a little bit with the 5-year time jump. I still think that this should have happened before Sid died. Sid should have been with you on this mission.
Yeah.
This should have been like the first Mother Crystal you went after.
Right.
I think. And then one that's more time with Sid.
Yep.
That you would have had with Jill. Like done this first, and then do the other one. So like almost immediately after. So you would have done 2 Mother Crystals. You would have done 2 of them with Sid. Or this could have been like a couple years after you joined Sid, so you've been with them for a while.
Yeah.
But like that's where I felt like this could have been flip-flopped or something.
Because like again, it's been
like done right after Phoenix Gate or something too.
I feel like that would have worked.
This is the Phoenix Gate, and then this is
Clive
Jill's.
confronts his past,
and
now Jill does.
Now you both have moved past your past, and you've grown up, and you've had your maturities, so that when Sid's gone, you both are okay to take over.
So yeah, because it's like, why hasn't she confronted her past in 5 years now?
Yeah, like I kind of get it. There wasn't the opportunity, but
yes.
I'm like I think in the story writing of it, you could have.
You're right.
Done it that way.
I think I agree. Right.
I still love it. That still is a fantastic moment.
Absolutely. But like, I do think
I don't take any more away from it. But I just
do think it is a little weird because it's like
its placement just
you rescued her like 5 years ago from them. So you're like, have they tried to get her back? You know, they haven't seen each other for 5 years.
I guess it's just been 5 years of this has been building up.
Yeah. Right. So then I have here, he's basically like, you know, she's like, I'm gonna kill you, and he's kind of like, oh, you know, guards, go kill them. And I'm like, he knows she's a dominant. What does he expect? He should be shitting his pants right now. She could at any moment just turn to Shiva, dead.
Yeah, right?
And
that's true.
He's like, oh, yeah, like, go kill her.
Go kill her. She's nothing.
She's not going to turn into, like, Shiva. I feel like...
And I know she just, like, immediately goes semi-prime and just...
wipes them all out.
Yeah.
She just, like,
kills everybody.
shoots a bunch of ice at him.
And Clive
done.
attacks, too.
Yeah, he's like... takes on, like, 2, looks over. She just literally wiped out, like, a dozen.
Yeah, she was like, I'm not fucking around.
So, yeah, I thought that... I'm like, what is... Like, why is he not
Which
afraid?
is a really cool moment, because you know how many times, like, in shows and everything where, like... especially where you'd have like Goku and he doesn't go Super Saiyan. You're like, why isn't he powering up all the way full? You know,
yeah,
just take him. She immediately is just like, no, I'm not.
That's what I'm thinking about. Like, she could just go Shiva and just squash him like a bug, and
she like takes him along and starts going for him. Right?
And, I think she looks at takes him out and she looks at Clive and is like, go for it. Like, I think go for the Mother Crystal or maybe even go grab him. Then it kind of switches from that scene, and I have blink and you miss it. You see the hooded man.
Yeah.
Really briefly, kind of just like motion like with his palm, close like a fist. And then he's gone.
Make a note of that. Yeah.
You see like the crowd of... There's an earthquake kind of happening again. You see the crowd of people.
I forgot to make a note of it because the boss that you fight coming up here
is
very unique.
Yes. So what I have... So you blink and you can miss that hooded man. And you're like, was that Joshua? Or we have figured out who the hooded man...
I did make a note of it right here.
Symbolizes Ultima. He was like... The hooded man was that voice. We figured out that the voice was Ultima.
Yes.
But Ultima
and then we also thought it was...
Away.
You also thought... Because it's the same hood that Joshua was wearing.
Yep. So we also thought... thought those were 2. Now, Joshua sealed Ultima away. And now we see this hooded man.
Yeah, we thought we were done.
That...
Yeah. It's like,
so who or what? But if you remember, we also just saw Joshua, and he wasn't wearing that hooded robe anymore. He had a different outfit on.
Yes. Yeah, now he's totally.
So you're a little bit like, who or what is this? Now after that, it comes back to the crystal, and it seems to be reacting.
Yes, I said straight up that it. You see him do that, and it conjures up a beast from the Mother Crystal.
I feel like I did not get that at first. That didn't like.
And I don't know if I did first playthrough either.
But it definitely seems
second time through.
He does something with a little bit of the hand. The crystal reacts because even Imran looks like at the crystal and is kind of like, what?
What is happening? Yeah, like that doesn't.
Lava like comes out like from. I forget if like it's from the crystal or like from the sides. Takes out the rest of like the people, and then forms into this like humanoid lava creature. And he's got like Ifrit horns. Coming out, which he's again
very unique looking monster that I feel like is way familiar looking. Like I'm still not.
I feel like is it a nod to a previous Final Fantasy boss? Because this is a unique fight. I think this is a unique boss.
I think it's supposed to be some sort of form of Ultima without going too much into ending stuff.
Or like Ifrit, right? Because again, like there's like a nod to Ifrit, right?
Yeah. Like I feel like I'm missing something with this.
It's
like there's supposed to be something we're getting.
Larva form of Ifrit or something. I don't know, right? Like
yeah.
But he's an interesting boss. I love Jill just immediately charges at him, and then quickly
and she turns into
Shiva.
Right.
So I feel like she again like getting back to that kind of the Dragon Ball Z fight. We don't have 10 minutes of them trying to fight. Oh, I should.
Yeah, and she's like, I can do semi-form. No,
she was like tries semi-form and is like, no, like I gotta fully prime. And I love you even get to see like she like transforms and Clive gets like covered in like frost. Like a little just a little like small thing, but it's just like, oh yeah, that makes sense. There's
she goes in,
it's cold everywhere, just, right?
Like the whole room, even at a volcano, the whole area.
Yes.
She's strong as shit, man.
Right, yeah. So then her and that thing are
I made a note here.
Going
I was
at it for a little bit.
I was like, this would have been cool to have an icon fight as Shiva fighting him.
That would have been very cool. Yeah.
Right? Wouldn't that have been awesome?
Mm-hmm.
You've been in control of Shiva.
Because you control Phoenix.
Yeah, that's why I
said. So like not even like a full fight, maybe even make it a little simpler. Just a little.
Didn't have to be as crazy of the other icon fights.
A little treat. You get to control Shiva.
Just a little one would have been so cool.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm like,
not to take away
cool
it's an awesome scene.
Yep.
But like that's where I'm like, you could have had that scene. Like that's what the icon fights basically are. Just like an interactive scene. So like, couldn't we have just kind of done that? Like you did that scene, but
I was like, it is.
In the,
it's cool to see Shiva again, right? Yeah. But yeah, I feel like they could have done a little bit more. So then I have here,
Not complaining
Clive
too much.
tries to start summoning Ifrit. He's like, I gotta help out. Like, she's struggling against this thing. Tries to summon Ifrit, but can't.
Ifrit! Come on. Remember how it felt? Why can't I do it?
He's like, why can't I do it? You know, right? Again, it seems like something's blocking him from doing it. He like almost gets there, powering up, and then just doesn't seem like he can.
I said he goes into semi though.
So then I think he has to he tries again and goes to semi-prime.
Yeah.
So now I'm wondering, can he even semi-prime this whole time?
He must be able to though, because that's limit break.
Yeah, so like I'm a little curious.
I think he can go into semi. So then I think at this point maybe he was
that's all
I can't,
do.
but I can at least go semi.
Yes.
And then like a full semi prime.
And then okay, correct me if I'm wrong here. The music that starts playing, is this the first time we hear it, or is this played before already?
Oh God, I don't remember. I didn't make a note
because I had to make a note of like awesome music as he's like powering up. It almost reminds me of like Tron. Remember the Tron movie? It's this little like like in the background. It's just like this build up. I know you hear this going forward, so now I'm like, have we heard this before? You maybe hear it at Phoenix Gate when he like first semi.
Is this primes? Or is it? It might be a similar, but slightly different version when you fight Typhon. Is that the one?
Mm-hmm. That's totally it. It's totally that. Yep. We fight Typhon. Yep. There you go. So you get that theme again. Awesome. You're ready. You're ready to go. I have interesting. You start off the fight now fighting this lava creature in semi-prime. I know before my other playthroughs, I had full limit break. You would start in it and it would go down. I swear this time I had like one bar, so I started in it and went out immediately. I don't know if
it just starts where you were, how you were.
Yes, so I'm interested. Let me know.
Thanks for the help.
If anybody had something similar, or if I maybe just accidentally went out of it.
I think both times that it happened for me, I think I did have full bars going into it, and then
because you do the fight before, you just wreck a bunch of Iron Blood.
Yeah.
So like you probably build it up there. Yeah. But I used it, and I swear I went out of it right away, and I was like, okay, so if you don't have your limit break. Do you not start in semi-prime, actually? Like, that might be a little weird. I love how you can see Shiva in the background, though, as you're doing this fight, and she's actually kind of, like, moving. And I had a similar thought to what you just said. I feel like she should help in the fight. Like, just, like what Jill does, just sends a couple ice blasts.
Because what happens
sat there and waited, and she doesn't do anything.
Is she, though, like, going around and like kind of keeping the lava away already?
But yeah, it makes sense
because that's what happens right. It
shows her she is holding the lava back, and Clive's like, "I won't. I'm going to beat him now."
Yeah, because the volcano now starts like basically erupting.
Yeah,
and you're starting to like almost get engulfed by lava
so
throughout this fight. And
Jill's like saves you. Yep.
In those portions, and then she like makes them like a ring of ice at some point in the middle of this fight, stops it, and is like, "You take care of them."
So like real quickly, you get his health down like a little bit, and there's like a cinematic scene, exactly what you said. Lava comes in, she like freezes. She actually literally does diamond dust.
Oh yeah, that's right.
To it even says freeze it. Dust, yep. To freeze the lava around you to give Clive more time. But I'm like, okay, so that was like a cinematic scene, but you don't do any button pressing like an attack or the dodge. Like they could have made that.
I feel like there's
one of those events. And I feel
because this felt like a moment like every other part of the game does,
where they have
an icon fight that goes into an ability.
You do the dodge, you do the attack.
Yeah.
Mechanic thing,
have
right?
all those mechanics into it with an icon battle.
It's the same music.
Yeah,
it's the same theme, right?
It's been like every single one of those, and you get an ability afterwards.
Yes.
Which I will jump a tiny bit ahead and spoil it. You don't get anything new from this.
Correct.
So, as cool as this part is, that's where I'm like,
that does feel
like there's a few missed opportunities here where
I agree. Yeah.
I don't know, got something.
Yep.
I was kind of, the first time through, I was like, do we get Shiva here? Is this where we get Shiva's abilities?
I was wondering that too, right? You kind of were like, oh, could you?
Yeah. And then I was
I
like,
feel
oh,
like they
I didn't get anything.
could have made that
happen. I feel like you
happen.
could have gotten, like, another Ifrit ability or something after this.
I agree.
Unlocked something.
But kind of makes sense because you couldn't summon him.
Yeah.
So again, it's
know.
like there's things where they kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
I've got
good
boss fight though. This
Yeah.
guy's troublesome. Like you got to use the rest of your items on.
And yeah, he's key
long.
to
He lasts long.
Dodge and counter. If I remember right, he does like this weird like stomp, or he'll do like, and then he does like a combo one, and you
have
really
his combos.
have to
You can't just dodge once. You have to like keep dodging
until he's done with it, and then he'll give you like brief moments to attack. Kind of reminded me then of like Darkseid in Kingdom Hearts. You know, the big...
Oh,
Dark guy,
totally!
where he would like then punch the ground, and then you would like freeze for like a second.
And that's like you have that little window to attack.
Except for it was
otherwise,
like
then you dodge.
Really fast version of that. And then like a very brief window of like you can maybe get a combo off.
Yeah, I'll say I have
until you stagger them.
I was like going on from here. I feel like you don't have a lot of those like battle events in the middle of a fight anymore. Those have like
kind of fallen off
totally.
Yeah, until like then late.
Yeah, they kind of bring them back,
like
and it's more
fights,
the icon battles then, right? They kind of transitioned into that. But yeah, so totally reminds me of like some 14 mechanics. So like I feel like this is a little bit of in the boss fight here. Yoshi P with like 14 kind of the area of effect kind of like thing, and then like going from you have to just straight dodge now, run around and dodge, and then burst damage. Like now he's like stunned. Now you unload on him. Oh, now I got to dodge. Like if you just keep attacking, like you're not going to win this one actually.
Oh yeah.
There's one move he has, that was like this is 14. It's like 11th hour. He like transforms into like a dragon, almost like another Ifrit looking beast like thing, and just does a bunch of moving around, and it's like you have to just straight dodge.
Yeah, but like almost
good fight. This was a good one.
It's fun, and again though, this guy is so unique that it was like, is this another like, and it just calls him.
What does it call him? Yeah,
I wrote it
basically like an icon because he's taking on Shiva.
Liquid Flame is what he's called.
But yeah, he's taking on Shiva, so he's literally an icon.
Yeah, he's just like lava incarnate. So,
yeah.
So I was like, is this just like straight up like Ultima just controlling lava or something, or is this like a lava
what's interesting too is we've come across a couple Ultima's thralls. Is this one of those things covered in fire?
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
right? Like he's a very weird. I forgot to look at the like bestiary of him, if it would have explained more.
Right,
or
I'm thinking.
Hippocrates
I'm trying to remember it too now. Yeah,
I should have looked that up. I didn't.
Oh yeah.
But I don't have anything else really special. Then you beat him
in the fight. You beat him, and Jill just immediately like coughs up blood after she like transforms.
Clear, I just have. She's like clearly.
She comes back, not Shiva anymore. Barely can stand. Like she can't even make it to the crystal. So I have the interesting note here. So the last crystal, we know, tried to attack with the sword, doesn't work, right? Sid transforms into Ramu to blow it up.
Yes. Yeah, I thought this was a very interesting one,
I thought this should have been a little flipped. I thought she should still have been Shiva and like destroy the crystal, then transform back into normal and be like, holy, and you would almost be like, is she dying? Like, is she gonna make it through? Did she kill herself in order to do this?
And I thought for her arc here too that she should have been the one to destroy the crystal.
Yes. So
I agree.
Again, Clive. So I'm thinking it takes the icon power to destroy it.
Yes.
Clive can't do it. And now Jill is so like hurt she can't transform, right?
Yeah.
She's like, hey, Clive, like come here, and like basically just makes his sword out of ice.
Yeah.
And is like, that should be enough. And I'm like, cool, very cool. But I don't
doesn't make sense.
Don't quite get it. And you're like,
yeah.
Is that enough to destroy the crystal? Yeah. I'm kind of like, why can't Clive just do that himself?
How he does it. He does like but yeah, I agree, and I think it would have been more fitting thematically that if Jill was the one who like then did Diamond Dust and blew up the thing or something.
Totally agree. Because I'm kind of like, Clive
just here to destroy. Like she wants to like destroy this place and rid her past of it. So like, why was she not the one? I don't know if then the point of it being that she can't do it without Clive. and Clive can't do it without her.
Yes.
So maybe that's where the theme is going for it, that, like, they had to do it together.
Yep. Also, I do think...
Kind of cool, but...
Like, we have seen... They don't stay as an icon for very long.
Yes.
So, she just fought this whole thing, and was holding back lava for, like, a good while. She's been Shiva for a good while. I think it's literally she cannot, like, hold on any longer. She will probably die if she's Shiva any longer. And it's just like, okay, like, this... I can muster, like, this power. What I don't get is Clive literally just went semi-prime. Is that, like, not, like, the same power? You know, like, I feel like Clive could have just semi-primed
intact
and done his own blazing sword and destroyed the crystal. I don't quite get why.
Nitpicky with it, but it was a very, like, I get it doesn't make a ton of sense.
Yep. So I'm like, well, again, maybe he struggled to do the semi-prime, so maybe he literally cannot. And this is all the energy Jill has left. And you're like, hopefully this is enough to do it, and you make it happen.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm like, okay, so you're going to like destroy the crystal. Where's the Patriarch guy? Where's Imran? This is
what was he doing?
God, he is like, I get he, maybe he probably just ran away after the liquid flame. Did that thing kill him?
He must have been like trapped from the lava during the fight.
I'm like, is he just gonna let you walk up and destroy his god?
I was like, where the hell did he go? Because after he said kill her, like, he just like, we don't see him now until after you destroy it.
So I also have, did you notice the scream at all? Air quotes. When you destroy the crystal, there is this sound. I mentioned it the first one. To me, it sounds like this reverse inhale scream. It's like this.
Damn, I didn't hear. I missed it again.
It's like this, like breath almost. It's like weird sound.
Dude, it must be real subtle. I don't
very
think I
quick.
caught it.
So you might have to like turn up the volume a little bit, like when it happens.
I think I did though in the last one when after you said it, and then I was editing and I turned that part up a little bit.
It's just one of those weird things.
You have to really listen.
It's one of those things. I'm like, huh, weird. Like, what is that? And the Final Fantasy Crystal theme plays again. Yeah. I love the irony of you destroy the crystal, and the crystal theme plays. Where it's just this kind of like, oh, like we did it, and you're like, you're destroying the crystal. Like, yes, it is for good, but like
opposite of what
we're used to. Yep.
But yeah. So Imran then freaks out here.
He does appear. So now you're like, oh, I guess he was just hiding. Yeah.
You have no any idea what you've done.
The crystal. What did you do to it?
Oh, we destroyed it.
What? But... Monster! Do you have any idea what you have done?
I do, Father. I have killed the monster and become an outlaw. May the blessing of the crystals go with you.
Was this part, I think, was another jaw-dropping moment for me. Because like I was saying before, you
feel like the whole time
that she was gonna not kill him.
You're kind of expecting
She's
that
so
the
like,
whole
I'm going
time.
to kill him, I'm going to kill him, and you're thinking like,
the
well, that's gonna be some like character development, right?
The arc is going to be, revenge isn't the answer, right?
Right. And it was just like, no, straight up just sword through the chest, like. I don't even know, man. I was like,
you're like yes. What? Oh, I have here she has some.
She actually.
She has some awesome lines here. Like you get like her couple lines like right there. She's like, I killed the monster. I freed myself. Stabs him like through even more. Blood just spurts out even more. Yeah. And then
there's another moment
as she like lets him die, she's like, and may the crystal like blessing go with you. It's like, like drop, dude. Like she's just like
she's walking away, right? Oh, dude,
because that's the crystal blessing. That's his.
That
god.
Was like
that
was like good. The cherry on top, the icing on the cake for me. Where I was like, damn, Jill's badass.
You literally, I literally have here. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Just
I was like,
I
was expecting her to like bitch out and not do it, or like Clive stop.
Yes, you're waiting for it the whole time.
I don't know. That was pretty awesome.
You're
Like,
like-
she just straight up was like, "Yeah, this motherfucker needs to die."
And I have like here,
And
I
it
was like,
was
this like not your typical story where we don't stoop to their level crap, like what we were just saying. And I'm like, some people deserve to die.
Yeah.
Some
God,
there are some people that the world would be better off without.
Sacrificing children for years and years and years.
Yes. Like, no, don't save him. And it's like Batman versus Joker. Like, no, don't save Joker.
No.
Kill him.
Yeah. I think it's all right. I was just like, that was badass.
And
she
solidifies. Jill becomes one of your favorite characters.
Badassery was like, I mean, Tifa's always been like this, and I was like, damn, Jill, that was coming up
cold
there.
blood.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Because I like try to think about it, like, does any other character even in Final Fantasy
like
do something
get that like
in that sense?
Get their satisfaction,
like,
right?
Immediately on top of my head, nothing comes to mind necessarily. I'm sure we can find it. Somebody else, especially a female character.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Doing something that, and it's another one of the moments too in the theme of being able to choose your own destiny and choose your own fate and have the option for it. And she was
that's
like,
the point of it, right?
I am making the choice to do this.
Yep.
Whether it's right, whether it's wrong, she had the choice to do it, and she did. And I think that, again, is like, that's the theme of it, is like, some of the choices they make may not be right. That might not be the right thing to kill him. Revenge might not be the answer.
But
she had a choice to do it.
Oh, that's huge,
I think that was like the part of
it. A little part of it, right?
And it was like, if Clive would have stopped her, it wouldn't have been her choice. And if she would have stopped, it would have been like, she could have had her choice to do it, but I think that's where they want to hammer home of like,
what Clive says
you don't always make the right choice.
Like, Sid did all this, so we have the choice, whether it's right or wrong.
Yes.
I think this is an example of this here.
So far in this game is like, that has been the main theme of it, is sometimes you don't make the right choice.
Yep.
Right? Sometimes we don't know what that is. This is definitely not your typical fairy tale where the heroes always make the right choice. They always are going to be good.
Yeah.
It was like,
that is that's a
like
good point.
Said, he was evil and he deserved to die. And so he died.
Yeah.
So Jill took care of him. I don't know. I think the scene
I would say, let us know in the comments if you think of another similar moment in another Final Fantasy of just that, like,
badassery.
Yeah, right?
Savage. Yeah,
revenge success. Like,
God, yeah. I can't even think.
I have here, I'm like, I almost wish for more of Imran because he was so good of a bad guy. Like, you hated him.
Yeah.
You only see him here in these like 5 minutes and you're like, I hate him, he deserves to die.
Yes.
Kind of wish they like showed him earlier with like the Iron Kingdom, so you like
maybe
had
even
more
at the
of
beginning he was
with like Jill.
Yeah.
Wonder if he was. Maybe we just don't recognize him.
Yeah. I don't think he was, though.
They would have referenced that.
But, or something like that. Or maybe he escaped here and then you were chasing him some more. But I could see where that would be like, okay, now it's just dragging the game on really long.
Yeah. But,
the only problem I have with this entire sequence of events is that it just felt a little out of place. The whole doing
like you're saying, when this should have taken place should have probably been before the 5-year game.
Only problem with any part of this
that
I can complain about, really, well, I guess other than the fact that Clive, how he actually destroyed the crystal was a little...
I feel like that's being a little more nitpicky, right?
Yeah, but pretty nitpicky. It was a little of a weak answer to it, I guess.
Anticlimactic, it just kind of felt...
Yeah, with how he had to destroy the last one. But... most importantly, I was just like, me just feeling like we went from this big time jump, and then it was just, we're doing some little things here with Martha.
We haven't destroyed crystals, but we've been helping out bears. All of a sudden it was like,
bam, jump into this whole Jill thing, and which we hadn't really been talking about.
She doesn't really reference her past before.
Yeah.
But I think I have made a comment before of, when you first come across Jill, she's very stoic and emotionless. and you start to see her show more emotion a little bit right before you destroy the first crystal.
Yes.
With like Sid, she kind of like smirks with Sid and Clive bantering like back and forth.
Yeah.
And you kind of, I feel like you see her come out of a shell like a little bit.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, again, this like 5 whole years go by and she never confronts her past. And now all of a sudden, where it's like,
another thing too would have been cool here is again would have been like a, you know, after all of this you get back and maybe like another like outfit change or hairstyle change or something where you would have shown that she changed as a person and she's a monster.
That'd have been very
like
cool.
She
pulls a garnet and cuts the hair. Oh,
you know,
okay, yeah.
Like just slight missed opportunities there. Yeah. Just more of a visual to show that she actually has now her arc. She's reached the arc of it.
Yes.
You know, like she's on the other side of it. Her character, she no longer feels like she's that monster, so she casts the past away, so her past self that we've known her as would have been different. Like, I would have liked to see that a little more. And again, she has a new outfit, so like you could hold this as another moment where
go to Brittany, okay,
well, this is where she switched into her new outfit. But again, I'm being real nitpicky.
That's again.
I'd love.
Not trying to take away from this whole moment. Like we said, this is like top 5, if not top 3 moments in like the whole game.
I mean, I think we say that every episode, but that's how great this game is.
They just keep giving you those moments.
Yeah.
And this is us just being a little nitpicky after 2-3 playthroughs. So.
Yeah. I think the only thing that we really have left that we wanted to talk about before this episode's over
is, so after all that's said and done now, you're kind of walking away.
Yeah.
And there's another quake.
It's just like the one at Phoenix.
And some like rock falls away or whatever. Basically you find another
it's like
mural.
Way like down, right? Like on
it was interesting, right?
Yeah, it was like a weird placement and they like look over like a cliff.
Yeah.
Right? To see it,
so
and I think
I don't think it's horribly important, but it's a little interesting.
Something away so you can see it where you didn't see it before. I think is what they were getting at.
And I do have, if you look at, you get a very brief, quick look at the mural. If you happen to look at the bottom of it, because if you remember the first one you saw, it was all burned and cracked. You only saw that like figure that Clive's like, is that like a god? I don't know. What is that?
Oh yeah, it shows more of it, right?
You can kind of see a little bit of the bottom, another like figure or two. Again, it's super quick. Let's see if we maybe get a screenshot or something. But curious to see if anybody else kind of noticed that too. Then they just make a little comment of that, but then they're like, oh, we got to get out of here. Like this place is coming down. Yeah. So they quick leave, and you get to see the hooded man again, almost like he's smirking, and kind of like disappears again. And to me, that's where it's like, okay, it's giving off a little bit more like Ultima vibes.
Yeah.
Again, you're still like
very mysterious.
Yes, you're like, could this be like Ultima? You know, because Joshua absorbed him. Is this him like took over Joshua now or something?
Okay,
I don't know.
I might cut this out because this is jumping ahead and spoiling a little bit of things.
Jump back in here. I think pretty much.
Now it's not the end of the scenes. There's still a handful.
Yes.
More scenes.
But I think we're going to stop in the middle
We're
here.
already really farther than we thought time-wise, but also I think it's probably a good spot to stop because
so I think
what
I just literally
happening goes into then a lot more things that happen afterwards.
Yeah,
and
we're probably gonna...
That's everything that's relevant to Jill's story arc.
Yep, the last thing that happens
that's
here,
the pin on it.
You and Jill took off. You see the Iron Blood, people like rowing away from the island.
Yes.
And the Mother Crystal disappear.
Yep.
So now you're like...
Yeah, so basically...
You assume they're
and you
heading
see,
back to their home island.
The person that Jill met, her friend, Marley.
Yes.
You see her on a boat kind of looking away and like... I think she's like tearing up.
Right, yeah. Right. She's kind of like... You know, where she's like, you know, I stayed alive. Like, now it's your... You know, you're supposed to, Jill, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
But... I'm just, you know, so you assume they're kind of rolling back to their home.
Yeah.
You know, their other island, like I was mentioning.
Yeah.
But, yes, I think that's where we're going to stop.
Probably a good spot.
Again, there's more scenes that continue, but I think we're going to start from there in our next episode.
So the next episode, we won't ruin too much, but the next episode, we finally get into Kupka.
Yes.
And we go straight, basically, into battling with Kupka and doing his arc now. So I think that's where this is a good part, because this next scene starts to talk more about that. Jump into more of that part of it, where this was now all Jill's and we're done. That's the pin in it. Jill's story is complete.
Yep.
She has destroyed her past. She has gone up on the badassery list, way up there.
Yes.
Like,
really jumps up there. Character rank.
Yeah, I really want to know. I'm going to look more. I really want to know, is there another scene where even a Final Fantasy character themselves did something more
badass?
I don't know how else to
Let
say
alone
it.
a female character.
More
just
badass than just stabbing the villain through the chest and saying,
badass
"May the crystal,
line.
May the blessing of the crystals go with you." As
they die,
as the guy who worships the crystal dies. Like, damn, Joe, that was savage. But yeah, so that's another great moment of 16.
Yep. Right here. Yep.
I don't think there's been one that I haven't said that to.
I agree.
Right?
Yep. The game
seems
seems to do that. Just keeps getting better.
There's some things like we can nitpick here, and we can kind of you know, I wish it would have had this. It could have done this. It might have been a little better, but ultimately, it's like 9.5 out of 10. You know, like I'm nitpicking here. These are things like they also could have maybe taken away from the game if they threw too much stuff in there.
Yeah.
Right. So
like I'm always saying, like, oh yeah, add a couple more into the scene or that, and it's like,
well, then maybe it's already like been 2 hours in this, so maybe it would have been too much.
But overall, I think our Super Frank take on
why is it so
Jill is hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Is badass.
Badass. Yes.
I guess let us know. Yeah, she became one of your favorite characters, like us.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to make a list now of that and like really think favorite female characters and badassery wise.
Yes.
It's like Tifa #1. I don't know who top Tifa.
Lightning's pretty badass.
That's true. Lightning does have some badass. She'd probably be right up there.
She might be in the discussion.
But then Jill after this whole moment was like, wow, like, and not necessarily like cool characters, because you got Yuna.
Yeah.
Who'd be up there, and then you got the 10-2 Yuna, who then was like a little bit more of the badass breed.
Right.
But like, so it's not like female characters wise, like I necessarily like her more than Yuna, I think, but like when I'm saying like badass,
just difference
level,
of it,
yeah,
savage of it,
she's
a savage. Fantasy movie, right? Thanks for sticking around, and
I do have though a little bit. So follow us on Twitter. I said it the last time at SuperFrank at a SuperFrank Pod on Twitter. I've been posting a lot more things there because I have also started streaming. So you can find me on Twitch.
Check it out.
I am Super Sanctus 8 at Twitch. And so I've been streaming a lot of stuff. I streamed a little bit of my playthrough of 16, but right now I'm doing Remake. I'm trying to get through Remake before Rebirth to remind myself of all those differences and to familiarize myself with it again.
Hard mode.
Oh, yes. And I'm in hard mode. Go check out my Hell House fail.
Yeah.
Eventually. There's a clip on there. I did beat it afterwards, but man, it was pretty funny. Wife was laughing at me pretty hard. I was so confident. But yeah, so you can catch me on there. Chat with us more of 7, 16, anything on there. I'd love to chat with you while I'm playing. Frankie's usually in there in the chat with us, so we can chat.
Come
with
hang
us
out
on there.
Click the links, might have them below.
Yeah. So or emails too. Check that every so often. Email us, but yeah, Twitter is a great way to follow us. I've been posting a lot of screenshots and stuff for other question things.
We try to do some more of those.
The best way probably to find out. I like to tweet on there when I'm going live.
Cool. Yeah.
Tuesdays, Thursdays, Sundays are the days the nights 10 to 12 that I'm trying my best to stick to. That I can almost guarantee that I'll be able to play and stream those nights. So check us out that way. It's another way to keep in contact with us. Talk to us about maybe what you'd want to hear more. Something or focus
something
on
liked
more
from our podcast.
From the next episodes.
Yep.
Or less
Ideas for more podcasts.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add.
No, I don't think so. I think that's everything for now. So
I think we've gone quite a long while. I hope there might be some.
So again, thanks for sticking around and watching, and hopefully we'll have another episode for you guys soon.
I think we need to come up with a better
outro.
Outro saying or something. Yeah. We got a good welcome one. I gotta think of a better. Super Frank take bye. Yeah. I don't know. We'll come up with one.
Yeah, right. See you next time. And that's the way the cookie crumbles.
And that, as they say, is that.
Yeah, all right.
Listen to my story.
It all begins here.
I know. This is a one-time gig.